And welcome to Getting Down with Dave. And we are doing the Battlestar Galactica as always here on Wednesday nights. And with us, we have JT Kirk. How you doing?
Hail. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, and other associated time zones for other people. So, yeah, let's do it this week. Dave, if you remember, and if the chat remembers, last week I asked you a question: which superhero do you think in this week's 2 comic issues do you see the most? And we'll figure that out. We don't need to answer it now, but yeah, you're laughing, and the chat will understand why here pretty soon.
Yeah, there's a little take on something. It sure looks like it on the cover, and we'll get to 17 here, and I'll pull it back up for make sure I click on the right one. StreamYard ad, and where did it go?
While he's working on that, good evening, everybody. Let's see here. If you haven't done already, make sure you hit the subscribe button on Dave's channel, so that way you don't miss us. But we are here 9 o'clock Eastern on Wednesdays right now talking about Battlestar Galactica. So we are on issues 17 and 18 this evening. So we hope that you enjoy what you see here. And yeah, we're going to have some fun tonight.
Yes, yeah. And welcome everybody, anybody who is here. I think we might be by ourselves right now, but it's all
good.
You
know, that's okay. You always get people that rewatch this later, and we love them too, right? So, you know, it's been a big week for a lot of stuff in the news and just getting into fall. I know the weather has been unusually warm, but it's just changing today up here in the north. And, you know, we had Halloween the last week. So there's just a lot of things, you know, people are
just a few things going on in the last 24 hours.
Exactly. So, yeah, if you're listening to this on a rewatch, thank you. And if you're catching up and you're trying to get us to current time in a live stream, buckle in.
Yes. Yeah. And so I know a lot of people are probably going to be maybe a wee bit tired from the last, the events of the last day or so and last week, like you said. So, we've had some fun with these so far. We're already on 17 out of 23. Did I say or 26? I never get that correct. I think it's 23.
Forget. It's in the 20s.
Yeah, there's a little bit of difference in a few things. Well, I hope I get to touch on as we go along. But you had a great setup there. So this is number 17, and I kind of scrolled through it if you caught it already, but I get a good monitor shot right here on the cover page, and I'm loving it. You know, everybody knows me and my monitors, right?
Right. Yeah, you love those displays.
I love them. I love that they've stuck to it. You know what I mean? They've been for the most part. There's an issue here and there that's not really prevalent like they are in some of them, right?
Right.
But they usually try to get a stick to the theme of having some monitors, and then they lay one out here right on the front cover. And here we go, folks. Who is that? Could be Red Hulk. I don't know. Maybe
Red Hulk. It could be, you know, Clobber in Time. It could be N.J. Grimm from Fantastic Four, right? There's a little bit of that going on too.
Yeah, a little bit of that, and you just the themes here are kind of crazy, but he's got this Red Hulk guy. I'm just gonna say it. It's just like waylaying on all these colonial warriors in hand-to-hand combat, and it's kind of odd because he's like I got a pile of bodies here, and I'm like, what is going on?
Time to bang the colonial pilots together. Well, that didn't sound quite right, but.
Yeah.
Yeah,
even though they have rifles and blasters and all that kind of stuff. So it's a weird cover, bunch of Vipers, but I get my monitor shot with the crazy looking Adama because we've all established now that the faces can't be exactly the way they're supposed to be. Hail Phantom Outsider. Yep. and the outpost. Yeah, definitely. So
But I like this cover. It's
yeah,
not overly complicated. The art is, not spectacular, but it gets the point across. You get a good sense of action and depth here where it needs it. And you don't get a lot of extra stuff that you don't.
yeah, which can be a thing for them on their covers. They just throw a lot on some of their covers, right?
Right. They
And
can make it too busy sometimes on these. We've seen
yeah,
that already.
and I like what you said about not being overly complicated, because that's going to be something I think you and I are going to touch on these next two issues, because this is a two-parter, actually.
Yes, it is. So it's perfect the way that we had our issues lined up, that
Yeah.
we didn't have to stretch this over the break, right? I always bugged me watching cable TV back in the day, before anything on
Well,
demand.
yeah, you never know. I can throw out a good cliffhanger. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
yeah,
with
and you're
these,
like,
it's not a
to
good
me, there's no
idea.
such thing as a good cliffhanger, because I'm like, dang it, I want it now.
So if you notice, the scripter is different. Well,
Mhm.
one of the guys is there as a co-penciler and plotter. I mean, that means they're the plot
I don't
co-plotter,
know.
but I don't know who the other plotter is. I guess they're being funny. So Jim likes to do that every now and then, Jim Shooter, but he's laid off with the
Well,
trying to be funny in the credits in the
when you
last bunch
say
of issues.
plotter, to me, I don't think scripter. I think of those giant printers that print, like the 3-foot wide roll of paper, and you can print out blueprints and stuff on them.
Yeah,
That's what I'm thinking. But yeah, anyway.
yeah. So we get this crazy creature here with big claws and some dude standing on the planet. So we get a little synopsis here. They're doing this thing called Commander's Log now. We're not sure where we've seen this kind of stuff before. Have you?
There was a little known show that was like a decade earlier than this. Star Trek, I think it was. Yeah. Yeah. They used to do those logs like that. Weird.
Yes. And hey, yes, Phantom, we're still waiting on the boxy thing from episode 14. I mean, there I go again already. Issue 14. Inhaled Putin's cat. Hello, how are you doing? Um, Plotting against BSG having a future in comics. Yeah. Well, let's see how this one goes compared to everything else, because there's a few distinct, one especially that you had already touched upon. So apparently this guy's down here. They're looking for food because if you guys
Now,
remember, the Argo
I
ship.
was not zoomed in originally, reading the digital version. In
Mhm.
that last line, I thought it said new poop sources there.
Yeah. It's this box is a little. The ink is a little bit bled out, bled
Yes.
through, or
Yeah.
a little bit thick. So I'll
I
read
was
it.
like, why are they sending Apollo to find new poop sources? What the
Yeah.
hell? Anyway.
Well, we touched on not seeing a lot of new characters. Well, we get a new character here. This guy, Dr. Enoch. If we've run into him before, I don't remember,
Mhm.
or it wasn't prevalent enough to have him in there. But so we get this highlighted new character, and apparently him and Apollo are down on this new planet that they found. They skipped finding it. They went straight to it, right? Uh,
Mhm.
they didn't waste any pages or anything of flying around. Oh, look, there's a planet. Oh, let's go do all this. They just boom, they're on. And so they're talking about that the Argo ship was damaged. Argo ship was the one that disappeared with Sire Yuri and all that business back a few
Mhm.
issues ago.
Mhm.
And so they still need to get food. And so this guy,
How they only send 2 people. Like, if Apollo gets tired, who's going to fly the ship anyway? But
yeah,
hey.
there's a lot of there's some I noticed some continuity errors, and I catch on to them a lot after I do this part here, because I do read them before we come on the show, right? Or at least I tried to right before.
Yeah.
And then when I go through them, I'll catch something here and there that I did miss, or it kind of solidifies what I was talking about. And I'm already seeing something here that you see Apollo's got a sidearm there, right?
Yep.
Yeah, just keep that in mind for later.
Oh, you might have caught something I totally missed on.
Oh, okay. Really? Normally you're on top of it, man.
Yeah,
may have.
Nobody's perfect, I guess. Yeah,
I'll
admit it. I'll admit
I don't know. You're pretty on top of things when it comes to these comics.
Well, I'll be
so is the
interested to
chat.
see. Oh yeah, the chat's got eagle eyes for that stuff too. So
yeah.
Now
Phantom's already talking about some of the things that we're talking about. You know, the audience licenses. I think we can always establish that this one takes huge audience license for all kinds of stuff, but you kind of have to go with it, right? So,
right now, not to slow things down too much on the first pane already. Several years before the Cylons destroyed our homeworld, we Capricorns sponsored an expedition to an uncharted jungle planet, and it was lost. I think we've just found it. On the one hand, I think, hey, you're just landing on this planet. Isn't that a little damn convenient that as soon as you get out of your ship, you find a human skeleton right there? Okay, I'm going to have to just file that away and get over it, you know. But I do like that they introduce something in here where you do build on lore, or you do build in universe without having to rewrite something. You know, it's basically a prequel activity that they can go to now, and it does not mess up any of their continuity.
Yeah, which they wind up kind of doing anyway. But
But it starts off. I like that idea. Okay, and it's safe.
Yeah, it's safe. It's safe. They're thinking ahead. What can we do for a good plot line, a twist, maybe double plot lines? We've seen these guys do quadruple plot lines at sometimes. And in one of the bulletin bullpens, somebody calls them out on thanking them actually for not having too much stuff going on.
Right.
In one of the letters. So they get attacked by the thing, which is a pretty cool little scary creature, right? Look at those big claws. And I kind of liked it. I mean, you got to draw something. It's got an ugly face, and it looks like something that's pretty dangerous. You know, it's not goofy or like a blob type of thing. It looks pretty scary, right?
Yeah. And it's very animalistic in a way that's still kind of recognizable to the reader. It's like you said, it's not a weird amorphous blob. It's an actual creature. Right.
Yeah, they made something completely new. It's got a weird face, ugly face, big claws, talon. It works. So I give them good credit. It's almost
a reptilian lion to a point.
Yeah. So they get attacked. Apollo drops his gun because he got surprised. Whatever, he tries to draw it, and this thing gets hit by a rock, and we get introduced to a bunch of Hulk guys, red guys,
who like to bang the rocks together.
Yeah, I like to bang banging the rock. They're in the 80s group. They like the 80s music too. So, or was that 90s? I can't remember. Yeah. It's certain things that they're already doing. He's pointing out things. You know, if that thing weighs 50 pounds, Apollo's already dead. I mean, the thing's as big as he is, he would have got jacked up on that. But I'm assuming they're trying to say the rock saved him at the last second, right? And I mean a real rock, not the rock.
Dwayne Johnson was not in this comic.
Dwayne Johnson was not in here. But Apollo grabs the gun, shoots one of these guys running at him. These creatures.
If you could scroll back up just a bit.
Sure.
Yep, one more set of panes. Yeah, just to the. Now, does that not look like Ben Jigrim?
This one, yeah. With the sculpt, the sculpt does definitely.
Yeah. So, folks, I'm thinking Fantastic Four. Dave's thinking like you said, Red Hulk.
Red Hulk. Yeah.
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 Red Venom. Yeah. Yeah. The mouth, definitely. Anyway, okay,
Venom.
we
Venom.
can move
Venom.
on.
No, go
I
ahead. Yeah,
just
that's it.
every time I look at these, I'm laughing because I'm like,
Yeah. This is more of a. I'll tell you how I feel about this issue. Obviously, yeah, if it doesn't slip out, right?
mhm.
So this Dr. Enoch is like, oh, okay, good shot. But then they make this decision, and they kind of one of the themes here is they don't make very good security decisions, right, guys? Right, everybody. Um, we've established numerous times, no matter how many times we bring up that this is a military outfit, their security based decisions are just not wise, right?
Mhm. Right.
Um, Over and over again. And I guess it's because they don't want to be a bunch of tight asses, or they wouldn't be able to move the story along with what they want to do, right? This is what they want to do. So security be damned. But so they just bring this thing right on board. We skip all the security procedures. That's cool. That's fine because they don't have any. I mean, they did. They did strap this thing. Like, look at all that metal they
Well,
have this thing
that,
strapped
that's
to. And
what I
it's
was
not
going
going
to
to. It's
ask.
not going to get out of that thing, right?
No, it's not. But how did they have a restraint table that's like 8 feet tall
Uh,
with wide enough metal restraints to?
well, this Doctor
That's a
Enoch's not
custom
going to
job.
drag. Well, he's not going to drag this thing anywhere. What's he going to do? Pick up one arm, and Apollo's going to drag this
Yeah.
thing? That's a
Yeah.
300-pounder, easy, right?
Way more than that. Way more than
He's
that.
at least 300 pounds. So Enoch's not maybe grab a leg and help him drag through it, but needless to say, we're all cool with it. They get him on the ship. We just make fun of some of the stuff they do, like security and stuff like that. But I like the way they bring this guy in, right? Because I was complaining about they don't bring in new characters, so they did. So that's cool. And he's talking about how he used to be a really good warrior. So we get a little backstory on this guy. So he used to be a colonial warrior, not just a doctor.
But he's too old for that.
Yeah. So they set up kind of a recurring theme for his age, right? He's a lot. He doesn't seem old. I mean, the way they talk about it, he's like all gray hair and with a cane and be able to walk type thing. So he's not, that old. 50s, 60s tops.
Well, maybe he's got an arthritic back. Who knows?
Yeah, I can relate. So, and I'm in the 50s. Maybe I'll go back to school and be a doctor.
Yeah. A biologist. Yeah.
Pure biologist, yes. He's not that kind of doctor. He's a biologist, right?
So, you're getting a little bit of input from how he's thinking that he wants to contribute to as best he can.
Yeah,
so,
I like it. I like it.
And then the weird thing, odd loose amino chains that don't connect to any proteins, but that's impossible. I'd like to have, and you don't have it like in any type of isolation.
No, that's what he's not. That thing is on a table. So did they scan it? So there's their security protocols are really, really lax, but it helps them with the story. So, but it could still be behind like a plastic thing, right? He could have like a plastic mask on or something. Or they could have at least said, hey, we scanned it, it's clean. Let me do some blood work and then go to this. But hey, we're used to right?
Or not capture this creature at all.
That would have been the first thing.
They kidnapped this creature and took it on the ship. I mean, come on. I know you're a colonial fleet, but man, you're acting like a bunch of colonizers here. Come on.
Yeah. I don't know if Adama or Ty, a little bit of alien action, with Sigourney Weaver saying, you ain't bringing that thing on board. I don't care. You know what I mean? We don't ever really get that unless like maybe kind of in one issue that I thinking of, but so yeah, he's flipping out about the blood work. He's like, man, this is crazy. And then he starts smelling something really bad, and I'm thinking, So in order for them to think like the body's not dying or he farted or something,
Mhm.
they blame the fruit. So they brought the creature on, then they brought the fruit on, and they haven't tested it or screened it, or I don't know. You know what I mean?
Now, yeah, and this biologist is really, really a smart guy because I mean, he
Mhm.
knows about evolutionary biology. He knows
Amino
about
acids,
like
all that.
DNA and all of that type of stuff, not just of animals but of plants as well. This guy is a smart cookie, or maybe the people writing it don't really know what a biologist would know or do, right? So, anyway, you would think he
Yeah.
wouldn't be researching this completely on his own, especially with this other creature. You'd have like some of the doctor staff in here kind of poking and prodding.
Well, you'd also have probably a posted sentry, which I'll get to later because spoiler alert, they do, but it's later on, right?
Hmm.
There's always a lack of security. Always. I keep harping on it, but yeah, and Phantom says the doctor likes to examine creatures doing autopsies.
Yeah.
Yeah, Phantom, we're going to get to the one question you asked about eating stuff. So he's smelling it. It smells really, really bad. It looks horrible, right? So they
Hmm.
depict it as like something really gross, but apparently the smell, even though it's bad, makes him want to eat the fruit.
Hmm.
So he eats the fruit because he can't stop himself, even though he's telling himself don't do it. So I've done that with the red velvet cake I bought, and I told myself don't do it, and I did it anyway.
Well,
And
that's
I
what
ate
he's eating
half of
right
it,
there.
and
Is a
now I'm
big
like,
piece of red
oh,
velvet cake. Right
yeah, yeah, no pun intended.
there.
And now I'm like, okay, I can relate to the doc here a little bit, but I think he's a lot smarter than me. And I was just eating red velvet cake, not some fruit from some freaking foreign planet, right?
Right.
That smells horrible. But apparently, it's so bad. It messes with his mind so bad that he has to eat it, and boom, bang, shoom, he turns into the red monster, just like that.
Right.
And I'm like, okay. And they kept the transformation scene to bare minimum, right? Just one little crazy kind of artwork panel here, but so now we
Oh, what's that one song? Changing
changes
time
from Bowie.
remains the same. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like what Phantom says with us, they didn't quarantine any of this stuff. We don't know. It's kind of crazy, but this is what they do. They've been doing it since the beginning. So, uh, and this is kind of funny. I kind of they made a
He
joke.
definitely like hulks around right now.
He's definitely hulking around or grim jokes, right?
Hmm.
And got a set of teeth on him though, doesn't he? Like,
He
wow, this is
does.
some canine, dude.
Well, they had to make him different enough from the Hulk to not get in trouble, right?
Yeah, it's almost like a lion face here. Um,
Hmm.
I'm thinking of some 80s cartoons type stuff. But we get another good monitor shot that I love, obviously.
Right.
And this is kind of hilarious. I'm loving that they did this um, because it doesn't affect anything, but he makes a joke. He cracks one, right? Oh, now you
Yeah.
warned me. It's hilarious. Excuse me, guys. So I was laughing pretty hard about that. I was like, "Oh man, that's great." They interject a little more humor every now and then, although they're not very good at it at times, and they've missed a million opportunities in the past to have some humor, and they just I don't know if they didn't want to or they just weren't bright enough to do it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Um, but
I
this is
love
great.
this at the bottom of this page. Flushed with power, Enoch leaves his lab.
Yeah, yeah. He gets so mad, he just Hulk smash. Here we go. Right. In his rage, he like smashes the computer. I'm like, no, not the monitor. But anyway, they call it a computer, so it's all good. And Boomer just happens to be walking around, which is good because he's hanging around. But he gets the smackdown, right? So Boomer's not
Yes, he
fast
does.
enough here, and he's getting ready to get crushed. But this guy's talking to him, talking to Boomer and himself, kind of like at the same time, right?
Right.
He
Now,
calls Boomer our friend.
I wish my condition to remain a secret. What? How? How?
Well, yeah, the how part is they kind of missed out on that, and yeah, so somebody roided up the fruit in the chat. That doesn't make sense right there, but that's one of the little slips that they are apt to do in the writing. There's not a lot of slips, bad ones here, but this one's kind of weird, right? I mean, you've turned into the monster, and wouldn't have Boomer seen that? I guess he didn't see that the monster was laying on the table as well, right? But it didn't matter. He was knocked out cold, and this guy was going to kill him. He was going to he was going to waste him. So it's kind of crazy. But then Jolly happens to be way down the corridor. So they're not inside, they're outside of the lab or whatever that place was. And he says that Boomer's death would be pointless now. I'm like, oh,
right.
So they knew what they were doing. They knew that they were going to put that in. I like the way they're thinking ahead. At least they're at least they are thinking ahead with the writing and the plot lines. And they insert little things like this, like, well, I don't have to kill him now. I say, okay, well, that's good. They didn't kill Boomer off just like that, right? Just walking down the hall. But this guy's very cognizant, like you were touching on. He's very cognizant of what he's doing because he keeps talking to himself. Right? I mean, what do you think about that?
Right. Up on maybe page 2, Dr. Enoch said that he was a thoughtless creature. And wait, maybe they're not so thoughtless.
Yeah,
maybe there's some intelligence to them after all.
Yeah, there is some with anger issues, right? So I like how they're trying to at least make this more involved with the character, like you're saying, and his mental stability and stuff like that. And he seems to be aware of what he's doing. He didn't kill Boomer when he could have, but he kind of also knows he's jacked up in the same way. But let me go back. He said he wanted to keep it a secret. I guess he's trying to say he's foreshadowing a little bit there about his condition. Right. So we get back to the useless panel. I mean, the how would you say the council, right? Because they never did jack to help Adama in the past, right?
Right. And I find it interesting Adama is so zealously tied to this lost colony of Earth when they've got a perfectly good planet here. And they did investigate or explore this option in the reboot Battlestar Galactica, but I don't feel like they ever really gave this type of storyline I'm trying to think if they ever really did much with it in the original.
Yeah, and they skipped all the they do this a lot too, where we've caught them many times, and at least not putting in a little bit of dialogue on that they scanned the planet. They seemed like they were surprised that there were animals down there, and then we get a bunch of Red Hulk guys running around, and they didn't know. They're like, wait, there's some life forms down there, quite a bit. Apollo did say we got to be careful. But like then you brought up, it's just the two of them. Nah, he probably would have gone down there with probably 3 or 4 warriors just to
multiple parties, multiple exploration parties looking at optimal spots for the landing zone in a future colony, that type of thing. My whole thing with this page is they end the conversation a little too early for me because they say that they're tired of running, but yet they don't have Adama say, well, this planet's out in the open. You're going to be found out by the Cylons. And that threat is not mitigated here before you get
Yeah.
cut off by the intercom. And I would think that that's a significant piece, especially in the reboot, which granted came far later than this comic. They try to go to great lengths to find a planet that Cylons aren't going to be able to scan to know that it exists, right? That it was
Yeah.
out in the
And
middle of nowhere and there was a storm or a nebula around it. Like it wasn't it was a good hiding spot. It really was. And there's no thought about that here on this page.
yeah, the guy does kind of say, this guy in green does kind of come at Adama in a nice way. He's not being an a-hole or anything about it, but he's like, hey,
Mhm.
this could be an option at least, right?
Right.
So he's saying everything that you're bringing up, but he's wanting Adama, you need to tell us why we can't stay here.
Mhm.
And that's a good point. I'll
It
give him
is.
that. I'll give
It
him
is.
credit for bringing it up because, hey, we know you want to find Earth, but what's up with this place? Didn't you scan it? That's what I would have loved for him to say. What's up with the place? You know what I mean? Just like you were
Right.
saying. And Adama kind of just falls into the plot line. Oh, we don't know what kind of dangers we face on a hostile world. And I would have said, you don't? You don't know what's going on down there? So you can't tell me then what's hostile and what's not, right?
Right.
But that would be kind of overcomplicated. But I mean, not for us, but that kind of goes into what I do like about some of the writing and what they've done for this issue. I'll touch on that later if I can keep quiet about it. But
Mhm.
yeah, they get a notice that something's going down. That the red dude is out and about and running around.
Right. Right.
What did you say before? Boy, they just love to run up and down the halls like Boxy, right? You just get from one
Yeah.
place to, it's amazing.
Yep. No security checkpoints or anything anywhere.
Yeah, on a
No locks
military.
on doors. Yeah. Mhm.
That's what it was. You said it before. No locks on the doors.
Right.
So Adama runs out because he's going to go jump right into the fray. Not that he would be doing that on a real ship, because you know what I mean. He would be telling people to do it,
Right.
not
Right.
do it himself. But
They would
he
probably
tells,
seal off vital areas too.
yeah, he'd be commanding that from from the bridge, right?
Mhm. Yes.
Or whatever they call it, command center or whatever. So he tells Jolly and Boomer, go do what you got to do, go handle it. Red alert. They're telling people to just shoot this thing. He's waylaying people
Red
up and
alert.
down the corridor.
Red alert. Interesting.
Yeah, funny.
I don't know
Right?
if you ever heard red alert before.
No, I don't think I have.
Hmm.
But if you notice here, like say he's already waylaid a couple people, right?
Yep.
This poor Jack guy, this poor guy down here in the bottom left was just trying to have his morning coffee. And this thing comes up. He's thinking, what's up with the security at this place? Because look where
Right.
they're at. How did they get just like you were saying? I was hoping you'd catch this. What's behind him?
What's behind him?
Yeah, what's behind the
Colonial
red guy?
Vipers.
Yeah, he's already
Right.
in the hangar bay. So he already made it to the hangar bay. Like they said, he
Yep.
was going to the hangar bay. They knew that because I guess he was running one way, but you see what I mean? They wouldn't have.
And they're also
He's
shooting
going to the hangar bay.
Shoot to stun.
Shoot
That's
the
the
stun.
third Trek reference.
Yeah. So they were right. He was going to the hangar bay. He's at the hangar bay. And we did touch on the thing that there was never really people around, but they corrected that, right? Because he jacked up 2 people at the hangar bay already. So, okay, that's good. because we always kind of made fun of them that they, every time they have stuff, there's usually nobody sitting around, right?
Right.
And this guy loves to talk to himself, which is good because we are staying in his mind. So, what do you think's up with this here?
About him climbing into a viper? Isn't he too big?
I would think so. I think he is.
Okay.
Yeah,
Suspension.
Fanta. I like Phantom. He did. Sorry, he brought up
Go ahead.
that guy goes, "Yeah, you fools." I like too late, you fools. I like that. The writing here. I can't not talk about. I'm liking some of the way they've changed up how they say things and how the writing is going here. It's kind of going back to some older comics that I like, like Black Panther with Kirby and stuff like that. I'll touch more on it later again. He's way too big to fit in there, right?
Yes, I thought so.
Yeah, but anyway, and they say, "What the heck? This guy's." They don't say frack or anything like that. He's getting in the Viper. I like that. Good Viper art, right? They've done well. They really changed from the earlier issues to doing way better, at least for the Vipers. And the art's functional. It's not horrible. I mean, it's not excellent, but none of it really ever is excellent. I mean, this is 1980s. We're used to the style and all that. So we're happy with having good, decent art at this point, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And he says, Jolly's like, you don't think it can fly that? I like the humor, right? They interject a little bit here and there.
And who is saying not bloody likely?
That's Boomer. That's Jolly and Boomer. Boomer says bloody likely.
Okay. I guess he's British now, but
yeah. That's just a faux pas from the writer. I guess it's just kind of that one
but
slip.
It is hilarious. The next little pane down from that, I laughed so hard because I could picture this just as like a TV episode so much. And with the growl that might be laughter, and I just picture, or I'm thinking like I'm hearing like a kind of a evil laugh coming from this. He hits a switch and it closes the cockpit. Click. So you just like he's got like this mirthful, evil kind of like
the face, right? I'm glad you saw that. Yeah. Yeah, and then Fanty's like, oh, he doesn't disconnect any of the cables or pre-flight stuff. But there's there's more. There's something that happens in the next page. I think it's the next page that I touched on when Starbuck. Remember when he stole the Viper and they took off, and then the bridge didn't know, and they're like, "Who's that?" And they said, "Oh, that's a pilot." Do you remember that episode? That issue?
Yes.
When Starbuck stole. Well, he's probably done that a couple times, but the one particular one, and I'm going to bring up, and it's exactly what Phantom was saying about pre-flights and all that. I mean, he just jumps in the Viper, and takes off.
Right.
I'm liking the art here. It's pretty cool. That face is amazing. I mean, it's the little things that count, right?
Right.
So, I'm really digging the humor. The not bloody likely is funny. It wouldn't fit with Boomer, but it is funny. The face. He cracked a joke earlier. You know what I mean? And they're doing a lot of exposition with the boxes, so you really have to read them to get a good sense of the writing and stuff here. He hits a switch, closes the Viper's cockpit, and then the ship rips from the sanctuary of the Galactica into the black stillness of space. I'm like, well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I like that. It's not overly complicated. We've seen where sometimes you've had to read for me because I get choked up on trying to read it and start laughing on how overboard they get with the rhetoric sometimes. You know, you gotta go grab a thesaurus or something or a dictionary, right?
Right.
That's about as overly complicated as the writing gets, and it's really cool. I like the description there. And then I guess Jolly and them are like, what in the is going on? Right?
Right.
Yeah.
Part of the, well, I'll save it for my review.
Okay, sure. You want to just touch on it now and lead in, or
I don't really care for what is it Boomer saying up there in the previous. I don't believe it. I just don't believe it. Yeah, there's a lot to that statement.
Yeah.
I'll save it for later.
Yeah, and you get, if you read the yellow, now in his new form, he finds he has regained all the old skills and reflexes, and he loves it. So I'm liking this. I'm liking some of the stuff they do here. You know what I mean? As compared to other stuff, and I really, and then as soon as I say that, you get a nice shot. We always talk about depth between planets and ships in space, yes. Right?
Yes.
And spacing. We talk about art. We talk about all these things, and they have. I think, although the sun is this completely white, like it could be like that. It could be a white sun in this red, purple fuchsia planet. You get 4 vipers here. I like this shot because it shows them out above the planet type of thing. But then they put way too many bubbles in. You know what I mean?
They are pretty wordy here. Folks, we can summarize that top one. They're on a training mission and they reference episode. I did it again. Issue number 4. And I did so well. I hadn't said episode yet today. And then, well, anyway. They are referencing that they're doing more training for the replacement, and especially a lot of the female pilots that they brought in episode 4.
Yeah, and
issue number 4 to bring them up to speed. So, meanwhile, this is what's going on out there.
Meanwhile, yeah. So they gave us the meanwhile, right? And Phantom's right. Who don't they have any kind of prevention techniques to stop vipers, at least up to a certain point? I guess they would have never known that this thing was going to steal one, but that's beside the point. They could have locked down the bay. That's what Jolly and them are going to do. But Phantom's got a good point, and we always touch on it. The security, they don't have any access to the launching bay from the bridge. You know what I mean? Like you said, JT, lock the doors. I'd block it all off. If you, and Phantom, yeah, you're right. We agree. Again, even Jolly would have a tight fit. That fiber.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I like the art, but they screw it up with the too many words. And like you said, could have summed it up with 2 speech bubbles, 2 right there at the top. That's all you needed. We didn't need they're trying to do too much. I don't know if it's the writer's fault or the editor's fault telling them, I want you to put in a recap here. Doesn't make much sense. We're already on page, like, a recap doesn't have to be that big.
It's almost as if this was written as a short story and then adapted into being a comic.
Yeah.
Which is why there is so much writing instead of showing.
Exactly.
But they do show at the same time. So is it really necessary to have this block of text? I don't think so.
No, not at all. And even the recap, you can go see Battlestar Galactica 14, which they do, obviously. But overly verbose here. Because I'm liking the art. I'm like, again, we get a good shot of Apollo and the Viper. Athena, we get her with her name on there. And basically what's happening is, like you said, there's a training mission. Apollo's got 3 of the females out there. Athena, Cassiopeia. I don't remember if she was a Viper pilot. I guess I forgot about her being one. And a new character, So we get 2 new characters, Sapphire. So
who is basically an extra at this point.
Basically,
Like,
you figure she's a red shirt. You ready?
Yes.
That's great, dude.
Yeah, there we go.
Great minds think alike, and we're automatically, oh, she's gonna get it. One of these.
Yeah.
There's no way that somebody in here is not gonna get it, and we know it's not gonna be Athena. We know it's not gonna be Apollo. It might be Cassiopeia. You don't know. I mean, that would be a bad plot, but people have got waxed in this show, and guess who they bring up?
Guess who?
Zach. Athena's got to bring up Zach.
Did they bring up Zach?
Oh, well, not. So, okay. So let me, I didn't say that correctly. So not inadvertently, they bring up Zach. And I don't think they meant to, because she's talking about how she's going to shoot Apollo out of the sky. And theoretically, my brother is good as dead. And I'm like, too soon or not?
Oh, because her other one is dead.
Because her other brother is dead, and he died in the pilot. Sorry.
I didn't think about that.
I probably was thinking too much, way too much into it. But I don't know if.
Well, good catch.
I think it's just a good catch on my part. Too deep, thinking too deeply, right? But I thought it was kind of cold.
Yeah,
I was like, oh damn. And she's saying that while she's sitting in a Viper pilot. I mean, as being a pilot in the Viper. But anyway, I just had to bring that up. Sorry, I didn't say it correctly the first time.
You're good.
But I'm liking the art. I like the art. It's just a little bit too much talking, like me sometimes, but that's okay. We're reviewing, right?
Yeah, and I mean, we can just keep scrolling down once you're happy with looking at each of these, because they don't really.
We can go all the way through. Huh? Sorry.
Yeah. We don't really have anything actually happen until they're blinded by the sun, and then out of nowhere, this Viper with lasers blasting.
Yeah.
And
you get a Viper cockpit, but no stick, no joystick for you, JT. I'm sorry.
I know.
I know. I was a little disappointed there for you. I thought maybe they would do it. And I was thinking of you, and I was like, they didn't show the damn joystick.
Yeah.
But you had to bring that up.
Right. So they think that it's Apollo, and at the last second they're like, no, wait, it's really actually armed, and then pew pew.
Yeah. And Fanti brought up a good point again. Maybe they need text. Or they won't pay the writer, so he puts in a lot of stuff. So he's like, look, I wrote. I see where you're
Maybe that's where the co-plotter is. Somebody that had to come through and fix all this.
Co-plotter, I think, had probably something to do with that too much stuff, because I'm liking the writing in this one, except for little things. Yeah.
Then
so
Sapphire, of course, gets hit. Oh, sorry. So Athena's going to have to crash land on the planet.
So which one gets it first here? I forgot. You said Athena gets it first?
Okay. Yeah, that's Athena's ship getting hit. And so then
I was surprised at that, to be honest with you, that she bought it first.
Yeah.
So then,
cool. So she's going to be crash landing here. And then Sapphire's the next one to get hit.
Yeah. Because they're like, oh my God, what's going on? But I don't know about these guys running into each other when she sees it coming, and she just doesn't get out of the way herself. Right. Or am I just thinking way too much?
Trying to scramble, and they are caught out of position.
Yeah, Fancy. I can't remember what happened to Cassiopeia back in the past. I don't think she was killed, right? JT blew up. She blew up, and she was still hanging around, right? I just didn't remember that she was a Viper pilot, though.
Yeah,
I was asking about her. I can't remember. I'm sorry.
I can't remember at the moment either.
Yeah. So who bought it second? Sapphire bought it.
Sapphire bought it second.
Okay,
but she's not destroyed.
No.
Her Colonial Viper is damaged. Like, this person knows what they're doing. Now,
Yeah.
I don't know what non-essential systems you can pretty much just hit on this and have it not go kaboom.
I
And
know.
what fantastic accuracy this guy must have after not flying a Viper for several years.
Yeah. Well, remember now he's the Red Hulk, so his skills are possibly even better than when he was younger, right?
Mhm.
But I like
Yeah,
what you
yeah,
and so damage. Like people in the chat are bringing it up. I brought it up. I'm going to scroll back up a little bit. So
Phantom
that
Outsiders
laser
is, plot armor. Yes.
plot armor,
He's the bestest
absolutely. Because Athena's ship took a pretty good hit here, right? So the artwork is so good that you think to yourself, she's gone.
Right.
I mean, that's some bad. She's not good. Okay, here I go a little bit, right? So this has nothing to do with the writing. This is editor-in-chief stuff. Not, yeah. I mean, you guys are right. I'll just stick with that. You guys are right. It's way too much damage for the plot to go through, right?
So then you have another one here. You have two Vipers collide.
Yep. Colliding. Smashed.
Right.
But they're okay. Sort of. All three of them now.
Yeah. So all three are going to the planet.
Yeah. And this dude, Dr. Enoch, is showing off now. He's doing barrel rolls and he's like, woo! He's talking to himself. He's feeling pretty good about himself. He's talking trash. Yay. And then Apollo's kind of like, here we go with the fast food drive-through again, though, JT. This irritated me a little bit. That pesky static in space where the communications with the Battlestar Galactica are always screwed up.
Yep. Solar flares this time.
Oh. Is it solar flares this time?
Yes.
Holy cow. Can we get what's his name, Shadrach, to fix the communication systems now? Jeez. Every issue almost. It's not a different kind of plot line, but whenever they're in the Vipers, they always have communications issues every single time, right?
Yep. Oh, without fail.
Without fail. It's almost irritating. I get it, but it's just kind of, oh, come on. That's not original now. Because they do the ordering of the large fry. Can I get the large and the small? And they actually do it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So I thought it was funny, only because we came up with the drive-through order stuff. It's almost a little bit irritating that they keep going back to the same thing. Just have it. The communications are fine. They're all blown up anyway, right?
Right.
And they all got to land. I mean, what's the harm of them saying that? It's kind of silly, but that ape just shot down 3 of our pilots, and now Apollo's kind of catching on to. He's hinting.
The damned dirty ape.
You get your hands off my Viper.
Yes.
Yeah. So meanwhile, back on the Galactica, we get a whole ship here. Some art.
It's hideous. It's hideous.
We've seen worse, I guess.
Yeah.
It's not good. Why even bother?
I know, right?
So I mean, I know why. They're trying to do the time and space thing, which they've done up until right there has been very, very good. It's floating out in space, but we already know that. So, but I get, they're just, drawing and, making a comic. So, they go to the lab and now all of a sudden the door is shut. Who shut the door?
Right.
The door's never shut. So continuity, right?
Anyway, yeah.
Remember that was one of the things I was going to bring up. It does make sense. So they want to get a little action in from, I guess that's still Boomer and Jolly, but now they're back at the lab. Well, they said lab door.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
But it says Adama and 2 medical specialists meet at Enoch's lab. So it can't be them. I don't know.
Yeah, but look what they're
Let's see.
wearing.
Let's see. In one, you've got here black curly hair, straight
Mhm.
brown hair. The
Mhm.
very next one, blonde hair.
Mhm. But what are they
And
wearing?
didn't they say there were 2 specialists?
Medical specialists, but they're wearing colonial viper uniforms.
Yes. Yes.
So those are the things that you and I in the chat are like,
You got to get that right. You
yeah,
got to get that right.
who? So this is what we talk about. This isn't the writer's fault. It can't be. I'm just the writer. I didn't color this. I didn't draw this. I don't. I'm on the plot. Obviously, you have to be in on the plot. But I would have thought that the writer would have said, why am I writing medical specialist and these guys are 2 colonial warriors, whoever they are?
Right.
Yeah. Fandom's loving this
Also,
issue.
this ship is metal.
Yeah.
Dave, were you ever on a naval ship at any point in time?
No, I didn't get to go on. We call them floats in the Marine Corps. So I
Okay.
volunteered to go on a float that went down to Australia and a few other places, and they told me no because I was already assigned to a battalion, which is like being an MP, a city cop, right?
Sure.
I tried and I didn't get to go. I was pretty upset about it, but well,
Right. Well,
so no.
okay. So no, but have you ever been on a boat or a ship of any kind?
Oh yeah, sure.
So
And I mean,
they're
I've
made
actually
of
walked on some
metal,
of the.
right?
Yeah, I've been on the old Battlestar battleship somewhere when I
Yeah.
was young.
So those are metal door frames, metal doors.
Yeah,
Goes to say the locks are probably metal too.
yeah.
What's going to happen if you dive at a door with your shoulder?
He's gonna
It's just
separate his shoulder, probably tear a bunch of ligaments, and maybe even possibly break his collarbone.
yeah. And well, Phantom Outsider says that oddly enough, metal is an extremely fragile substance, kind of like cotton candy.
Well, either that or remember the last issues with the pilot or the warrior blaster is so powerful it blows holes the size of where men can get sucked out into space.
Yep.
Right, with one
Yep.
blast. And I was like, well, why don't you just line the whole Battlestar Galactica with like a couple thousand of fire pistols?
Right.
Apparently they're stronger than the freaking cannons. I mean, not stronger, but strong as.
So on this page, we found what 3 things to complain about?
Yeah.
Anyway, it's when you stop and start thinking, that's when you start having problems here.
Well, it's their fault, right? We're not nitpicking here. They did this. This is our go-to. They did it. We didn't. I was picking a little bit earlier, but with the Zach thing, but they put it in there, not me. And then you've got medical
Right.
specialists who have sidearms here at the top left corner in blue. You see what he's doing?
Well, but this is the official mad scientist lab. So,
Yeah,
of
but
course.
with the medical specialist dressed up as Viper pilots. And apparently the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, the metal, like you said, and Anthony and myself is, God, it's like aluminum foil. This guy just pops right up like it's nothing.
Right.
Be damn, he had like eight different restraints.
And then they pop in and they're like, oh, well, if the Red Hulk is here, then who's flying the Viper? Oh no. And then it breaks free.
Yeah. And he's throwing huge chunks of ship at him. And they do get a blast off and knock him on his ass. Because we know that those blasters, like I just said, are picking up the piano ships.
And see, this is why you don't bring the commander of the colonial fleet to go and do all the grunt work.
Exactly what I was saying earlier. This wouldn't have happened. But Adama can fly off moving ships and fly like 200 feet in the air and land on bridges and stuff. So remember that, right?
Right.
I mean, he's basically Nightwing. Yeah. So Adama, not only could he have gotten his head ripped off, and he could have gotten shot by his own guys here. But
Yep.
of course,
Yep.
that didn't happen. So good point. Excellent point. And of course, since the blasters are so powerful, it did kill the monster, or I would have had more to complain about, right?
Yep. The ape is dead, Jim.
Yeah.
And of course, he hits the refrigerator because that's, the convenient plot device that needs to happen.
Yeah, smart of him. Knocks the fruit out. And they're like, but nobody makes a comment about the smelly ape. Oh, they do. Like, where'd that smell come from? But they missed the joke there, which is probably good not to do that kind of a joke there. But
now I have to make fun of the letterer here. Adama's talking on the left. Meanwhile, on the bridge, I have no explanation, son. Only Enoch has the answers, and he's missins.
Missins, yeah.
Because it's in all caps. He's missins.
Oh, dude, you've got to go really, really close.
Because then look at the next one.
I'm like really squinting.
And it's an actual G.
Is that his G? Oh, look! Wow.
It's not his. I mean,
I can't tell.
You can't tell. The text is bled together. It looks
the
like
letters are bad.
Yeah. I mean, anyway.
Yeah, and I don't know why they have to put the Viper pilot's bubble with the jagged edges. I mean, it's just a speech bubble, right? Is that for more emphasis? Missing? Oh my gosh! Because Adama made it to the bridge in half a parsec, which is something else we'll talk about. Time.
Yeah.
How they talk about time. It was in a letter, by the way. It was in the bullpen. Somebody called him out on it.
So now we know everything's kind of gone to crap. The crew that was there got exposed to the fruit. Then they all crash landed down here, these 3 women, and they are going to be exposed as well. And the other Fantastic Four Grims are running around too.
Yeah, and how convenient for them that that particular panel of conversation was in between sunspots, just to make sure, JT, that you knew that the static wasn't messing with them at that point.
Okay. Right. Right. Well, yeah, because of course not.
Just to let you know. So Fanny, all 3 lady pilots crashed, and he's making driver jokes. That's great. I love it.
It's not Toxic Tuesday. It is Wednesday.
hey, today's a brand new day. Wink, wink. Yeah. Say what I want.
All right. Let's see here. So they're crashed. Now they're trying to figure out, what are we going to do? You got to think about survival, defense.
Yeah, talk about their fifis, and we're gonna.
Oh, I forgot this. Yeah, modern day version. They're going to talk about how the crash made them feel, and what. Yeah,
we'll never see the Battlestar Galactica again. What? Come on now. You don't think anybody's going to come looking for you?
Right.
It might have been Sapphire. I don't know, because I'll touch on some of the colorists. So the ladies are blonde, brunette, and then I guess that's blue over here to the right. So I'll take it back. I always take it back if I get something wrong. I didn't notice right away. But
I have kind of an issue here. They screwed up on who's that on the left? Cassiopeia.
The left is definitely Cassiopeia.
Look at the bottom half of her body.
Yeah, it's like she's got a badunkadunk BBL or something. I don't know what's going on.
I don't know. It looks like a turkey leg to me.
It's not good. I think they were more worried about getting this Hulk face, which they've done an excellent job on the Hulk faces. But we know that their background characters have been absolutely horrible at points. Remember one of our famous one is the Tiki Torch guy whose whole body was a flame, like Johnny.
Oh yeah.
You remember
Sorry,
that one?
I thought you were talking about a 2017 Tiki guy, and I was like, no.
Oh no.
You're the comic book version. Okay.
And yeah, Fancy, it brings up the point that hey, it's always a good idea. I'll just read it, Fancy, so I don't have to go back and forth. It's always an excellent idea to announce out loud, we have no weapons, everybody. No way to defend ourselves. Just talk loud, which is always something that irritates people who watch movies, right? And they just be quiet. You know what I mean? Like in Predator.
Yeah.
It's like, if you speak one more time, I'm gonna you remember that scene?
Yes. Yes.
So the only other issue that the art here I had is this guy here is just he's talking out loud, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know why it bothered me so much, but I guess he's just talking trash. So I guess it's fine. This is our world, and you shall willingly join me. You are mine now and forever. I'm like, okay, all right. It kind of bothered me at first, but I guess it's the end here, so they had to close it out, right?
Right.
Yeah. So I guess I went back and said, I don't have a problem with that. I mean, it is what it is, and they got to get to the next one because it is a two-parter, right?
That it is. Now, see, I see Fantastic Four written on this.
Mm-hmm.
What do you see in that? More Hulk?
I see touches of all kinds of stuff, and I'm not that great of a comic enthusiast like a lot of people we know, as compared to Mark, who couldn't make it, and then our dear friend Clobby or Nick Weiser or a lot of T. Bud Martin. You see touches of all kinds of stuff here, right?
Yes.
Star Trek, Fantastic Four. I've seen Spider-Man, X-Men. I mean, all kinds of different things, right? And it's kind of like, did they take from here, or did they take from here, or from somebody else, vice versa, or was it just an original thought? Because sometimes over the universe of writing comics and animation and all these sci-fi, you're going to have somebody who thought of something, that somebody else thought of, but they didn't necessarily steal it from them, right?
Mm-hmm.
It just it's a sci-fi, so you have parameters for the most part. It's what you do with them. And some people along the line are going to have the same kind of an idea. But yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of fringes and stuff that they go on here, right? Because we are at 1980, and a lot of the comic books that they touch on have been around already for a while, 60s, 70s.
Oh, yes.
So I'm going to pull up 18.
Oh,
we talk.
Would you mind if we took a small detour? We don't have to, but there was one letter I did want to discuss for a little bit.
On 17?
Or did you want to say yes on 17?
Do you want me to pull it back up?
If you could, please. We can move on if you want.
No. I like talking about those. And
so while he's pulling it up, I have it on my side. I can start reading here, so we don't have
what
to.
What page is it on?
Toward
the end?
It's toward the end. In fact, it's the last page, the very last page. There's a letter written to the 3 different people that are at the helm here. Battlestar Galactica is a perfect example of good intentions gone bad. The series, in both its television and comic book incarnations, is rife with undeveloped concepts, botched execution, and no real focus or direction. The basic idea is sound, if not derivative. It's basically the Odyssey rewritten as a space opera. So there's several criticisms. It's a full half-page letter written in that they published. One of the criticisms is the the Galactica has never been the real ship that the USS Enterprise is, because no thought has ever been given to the realities of a working ship. So that's the top right paragraph.
Yeah. Oh,
Where I'm
this is
talking.
that really long letter.
Yes.
Yeah.
The next one, so we have a criticism about the ship doesn't feel lived in or like its own character, like the Enterprise.
Mhm.
The next paragraph is, what do we know about the people and their motivations? They're saying that there's too much plot and action and not enough character story.
Which
Um,
you've touched on before. They got too much
mhm.
going on sometimes.
The next paragraph, the next criticism is saying that the women don't get enough time. I
Uh,
don't, the next criticism is, how
well,
boxy is,
and also JT will reiterate that this is 3 issues behind.
right. The next one is about how boxy
Mhm.
doesn't get enough trauma. Then the Cylons are not a good antagonist, and the art is middling. So I look at all these and I'm like, okay, the art, that's opinion. Cylons, he doesn't say much other than they're not compelling. These other arguments, okay, I kind of looked at them and I said, well, they're good points, but I kind of maybe agree or disagree on everything. While this is called the Battlestar Galactica, I don't know if we really need such appreciation for the ship, quote unquote. I don't
Mhm.
know if we ever got that in the original series either.
Not, it was just the mainstay of it was always there, right?
Right. Now, I bring this up, this one and the next point about people. And this is 3 issues back from
Mhm.
what we've read. There were more individual vignettes that were done, like on the Boxy issue that comes after
Well,
this was published.
he missed the boxy issue 14 that we absolutely hate.
Mhm.
He's missing this issue with the ladies, but he's wanting
Yeah,
too much character development. Well, he missed the Boomer episode
yeah,
issue,
yeah.
okay, which I loved because it did do that. So this guy was like, he jumped the gun a little bit here. Three
He
three
did.
issues,
Now,
but
what I would say
yeah,
is 2004 really took this these criticisms into consideration, and I think to mixed results. The Galactica is definitely more, especially by the final season, is very much more lived in, very more real, feels like a character in the show itself, to the point where people are talking to the ship, especially Commander Adama in the reboot. So I think that that was something that they did positively in the 2004 version, right? The person criticism, I don't find that it A is necessarily true and B
right.
is necessarily a good thing. I think a lot of the criticism of the reboot Galactica was that it spent too much time going over drama and characters, to
Yeah,
the
too
point
much
that it
time.
was a
Yeah,
space soap opera and not enough of action and movement and sci-fi. So while you definitely could go more into each individual character, I mean, give it a rest. It hasn't been that many issues of a comic yet. I think this
yeah.
criticism is a little bit unfair, and we have gotten some good character development in other places.
Yeah,
Um,
he's got to be more specific, like we did with the whole boxing melting thing. That was absolutely
Mhm.
ridiculous. And he calls the TV show writers idiots. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
not
that's
sure
a
about that.
little, yeah. Can you be more specific?
Right.
It's just saying the
So,
Cylons or drool or droob, whatever word he called, drob,
yeah,
whatever. I
yeah.
don't even know what that word is
Pure
back then.
dross,
Drob,
whatever.
yeah.
Dross,
And I'm
DROSS.
like, the Cylons? I don't. Um, He said the art was middling. Okay, we'll agree on that. But I think that guy was being really like, if you're not going to be specific,
Mhm.
like you said, generalizations are one thing, and they actually said, I dropped it off the screen now, but they said that they gave up some personal characterizations for sci-fi action. And that's a decision they have to sit down and make, right? But the guy is 3 episodes. Damn it, you got me doing it.
3 issues behind.
He's 3 issues
and
behind.
I think they did poorly address the Boxy story in the issue that we read. But I also don't like his criticism here. I mean, he can think that you want a really dark and troubled childhood, but if you're trying to sell to like the teen audience, I don't think they'd be interested in reading about a traumatized kid. And I don't think you need that in this comic. It's not that heavy of a style that they're writing in.
So that person must have just missed 14 because we're on 17, right? He must have just missed it because there's no way you're going to complain about that and not bring up specifics. Yeah, the character, you want more people stuff. Well, I mean, it's a comic, man, not a soap opera, right? I mean, even I'll defend them when it comes to certain things like that, because we all know, and people like in the chat, and people know that a lot of the things we've said about these comics are like, let's just move on.
Right.
We don't have the
and to just wrap up this letter, I do not find his criticism about how they're handling women in this comic to be valid.
I don't either. I mean, they made them all pilots, and Athena's a freaking lieutenant, and Boomer's a sergeant. So, and then I think one of the letters, is that the one he's talking about? Oh, Athena is so good and all this. He's a big Athena fan. I was like, yeah, okay. But she wasn't a Viper pilot. She was a bridge technician. She was a bridge person.
Right.
She was never a Viper pilot to begin with. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, yeah, I think even for us to watch, I mean, even to read people who were more hard on these people than we are at times. But if you're going to write a letter trashing people, don't be so generalistic about it. We point out, if you want the art, yeah, of course, we've brought it up many times, but we're very specific about certain art, like the whole Jolly Imperious Leader thing. I'll never forget that shot of Jolly. That was so horrible. And we give credit when credit's due too, right, JT?
Oh yeah.
I always said they came back and redeemed them. Well, they could never redeem what they did initially, but they had a really good drawing of Jolly, a very, very good one.
Yes. And you know, I guess just to end some of that conversation, because we want to move on, is don't listen to all the fans all the time. We saw the benefit of the 2004 reboot. You take some of those suggestions, sometimes they'll work out well, sometimes they won't. I do like the Galactic having more personality than what we're getting in the comic series here, but a lot of those other criticisms, in fact, all of them, I kind of disagreed with. So just because somebody writes a long letter doesn't necessarily make it true.
No, not necessarily true. And the only thing I would have agreed is about the art. That would have been it for that whole letter. Because like I said, again, if you're not going to point out directly certain things, just saying, oh, well, all the women are getting a bad rep here, bad rap. They're not getting enough time. I was like, well, sorry to bring this to you, buddy, but the show wasn't about a lot of the women.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to tell you.
Yeah.
Okay.
It wasn't.
But even in the show, they did bring a lot of Athena in, right? They did bring a lot of Cassiopeia in, right? You know?
They did.
And they killed off my favorite hottie too. I mean, they killed her off, but that was pretty dramatic. And they had her in. That was Apollo's wife, Jane Seymour. Oh gosh. You know what I mean? So he to call people idiotic but not point out exactly why isn't a good platform, right?
Right.
I mean, even if everything that we've all been through in the last 24 hours, I could give you thousands of reasons why I voted the way I did, right? I'm not going to get into it now, but this guy is calling people idiots, and it's all generalized, right? You know, when you want to go to issue 14, you'll be on our side. because everybody here who watched that show and read that comic with the whole boxy thing has every right to say you guys are a bunch of idiots. But this is why, because 14 was horrendous.
Right. All right.
All
So
right. Yeah. Good
18.
deal. Good deal, man. Well, thanks for bringing that up. I love talking
Sure.
about the bullpens.
Thanks for humoring me on that. I appreciate it.
No, I love it. I love talking about that because it gives good insight onto what other people were thinking 40 years ago, right?
Yeah. Now, this cover, I did anything catch your eye on this cover?
Not really. I didn't pay too much attention to this one.
It did for me at the bottom.
At the bottom.
Yeah. Scroll down a little bit.
Battle for the Forbidden Fruit.
Yes.
And it looks like they're fighting over women.
Yes.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So if you're 13, you probably don't know, but Pepperidge Farms remembers. Yeah. That was not lost on me, and I guess maybe also because we know Glenn Larson is kind of a person that likes to drop religious references wherever they can. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that was his doing here, but it definitely was not quite
absolutely.
So subtle. Yeah,
absolutely.
And then the very next page,
we get a little exploitation here. Pardon the pun.
Yeah,
with the X's. Yeah. And you're like, wow, he just grabbed all these ladies and tied them up. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Now that big data dump is just a previously on Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah.
That we don't need because we just read the previous issue.
Yeah, because we just read it. Yeah. So we don't need any of it, to be honest with you. But they do that in case you didn't buy the other one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just in case. And I guess the cover they do have a good thing. Good in a way for them that these covers always hint. We talked about it a lot last week that whether they're bad or they're good, they put in a lot of plot lines. So the cover, I went back now and it actually answered my question for me because this dude and to the left, there's at least 4 of these guys here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's why I was kind of like, so none of them ran off. He just grabbed all 3 of them at the same time. You see what I'm getting at now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I didn't pay any attention to that cover. I'm glad you did. It was good.
Dr. Enoch had his natural inclinations are running away with his behavior, I guess we could say, right? It's not a very nice thing to I don't even want to get you in trouble on YouTube here. What's depicted in the comic to restrain 3 individuals of the opposite sex is probably not the gentlemanly thing to do.
No, not the. Yeah, it's a weird choice. It's an odd choice. I don't know. I mean, it's just an odd choice.
One more thing you might have missed. You scroll back up. Sorry.
Scroll back up
again.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Scroll back up. The bottom of this page, they forgot to attribute everybody, and that's added in later because they do it at the top every other time.
They do it at the top.
The blue box is.
Oh, they didn't do it at the top at all.
No, they forgot.
Because if I remember correctly, if I'm reading that correctly, Sal Buscema is doing layouts now. That's huge. Did you notice that?
I didn't read it.
It's very well known. Very well known. Nick and all those guys could talk about him all day, probably. Yeah, so Sal Buscema, and I don't know if I missed it before. Everybody can correct me. I just didn't catch on. I think he did. Maybe I just haven't caught on to it as much as I do now.
Mm-hmm.
He's doing the whole layouts that Hungry Boy had been talking about on that show that I did, or we all did. So he's like, the bad guy's like, or Dr. Enoch's like, yeah, nobody can stop me now. And I don't know about, I guess the scan is bad here, JT.
Yeah, it is.
is it double paged here?
Yes, it is. You can see
Yeah.
the crease in there.
Yeah.
In
So I don't like
between
this
the
scheme.
right and center X's,
Hmm.
there is a page crease right there. It's just an
Yeah.
unfortunately bad scan. But he's basically saying, "This is my plan. I've got you now. I'm going to give you this fruit to turn you into one of the creatures like me because I'm so much more powerful and better than being just a human. Here's my evil plan." And what is this? Athena says, "My brother's going to mess you up. He's going to beat you up, something fierce." And yeah,
Yeah. Well, did you notice he calls her Athena and she doesn't catch on?
yeah, yeah,
She
yeah,
doesn't. She's doing the my boyfriend, or in this case, my brother's gonna beat your behind. And
yeah.
then she doesn't say. At least I can't remember it. I don't think I saw it in the comic. Yeah, Phantom's hilarious, dude. You're hilarious. Man.
Oh, I know. I'm like trying to dance around it, but we
I
all
can't
know
keep up with
exactly
you.
what's going on here.
Yeah, I glance over. It's just funny. She doesn't catch on that he calls her Athena. That's something they missed, right? You put it in
Mm,
there, and then didn't she? She would have been like, "What? What? You know me?" Da da da. Anyway, they went this angle. Could have gone that angle. Went this angle. It wasn't my choice. Right? I didn't write it.
yeah.
I didn't do this. So, uh,
While he's in the middle of divulging his fiendish plan and laughing his evil supervillain laugh, Apollo comes in.
just
Yeah.
leaps from a tree apparently. So he snuck up on him, which is a good plan, right? You don't want to. But
Wouldn't you
then,
want to pew pew to
ah, yes. Here we go. Here we go. Remember, I brought this up on the last issue.
mhm.
He had a sidearm, did he not?
He did.
Remember? Okay. When have you ever seen him not have one, unless he's like doing some physical training or something, or whatever,
Right.
hanging around? You know what I mean? There's no, even though they were on this training episode. Well, I'll say episode, the issue, the episode part where they were on training. Remember, before they got shot down, right? All three of them.
Right.
There's no way he's going out into space anytime, anywhere without his uniform. And part of that uniform is having that sidearm. So it's really a little bit disingenuous that they throw it in your face that he's unarmed. What's he gonna do? Oh, I was like, what? No, no, no. You keep saying
Right.
that he's unarmed. He would have never been unarmed. I kind of had a problem with that. Just saying.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's
Uh,
like, "Oh, ha ha ha! You've fallen right into my trap." Oh boy. And then Athena's like, "Get away! It's right. Get away before he kills you." Oh no!
yeah, but
And
you were
then
just
this
talking
doesn't
trash,
really,
Athena, right?
yeah, exactly.
Uh,
Then this is like a really oddly thirsty dialogue here with the blonde
yeah,
says,
well, first Apollo is doing like judo chops. He's taking this guy head on. Yeah, we know Apollo's a badass, but this is a vicious, wild guy with ripped 300 pounds of muscle, right? So
mhm,
yeah, you're right, JT. Then she changes her tune
yeah.
really quickly.
Then
Okay.
this one is she is quite warmed up, if you know what I mean. She's like, "Don't distract him, Athena. He's having a trouble avoiding those massive arms as it is."
Yes, the massive arms. Yeah, I'm glad you. I thought that was a
Well,
little
I'm like,
quirky.
settle
A little
down.
quirky.
I'm like, settle down.
Yeah, she's well, you got to remember, what did they call her, guys? One
Sapphire?
was no, Cassiopeia. The
Oh,
blonde is Cassiopeia. Remember what her job was?
oh,
You know.
socialator. Yeah.
Yeah, they called her nastier than that, but with Socialator before, I can't remember what
Mhm.
yeah. They said Socialator, but they added to it too. It was pretty rough. uh yeah, so she's kind of getting into the fight here a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll say it. I don't care. It's fine, man. Say it. Just say it. She's kind of digging it. For
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, which is like, LOL. How did they even think to
But
write it like that? But
yeah, but for them to think that Apollo has the inclination to talk to her right now, it's
mhm.
hilarious to me. It's bad, but it's funny. It's like,
Now,
wait, Apollo, he's it doesn't he have something to handle, right? He's talking to her. Like he wouldn't be talking to you. You wouldn't be, hey woman, while I'm trying to fight this guy, right?
yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. It's just weird.
So then, then he tries to pull a James T. Kirk here, trying to get in the head
Yes.
of the Red Hulk.
Yeah, he's talking trash to Enoch. He's talking trash to him. And he's talking to Caspia at the same time, right?
Yep.
And then look what Sapphire says. She's got to
Is,
give her battle plan in.
is that your plan? Are you trying to anger that monster into killing us all?
I just started laughing, dude. I was like, come on, man. I was giving props to the writing in 17. Now it's it's just weird. It's funny. I didn't even get
I think
upset. I
it's
was just,
supposed to be. I think it's supposed to be.
are you think
To,
so?
to borrow a phrase from George Lucas, I think it's stylistically designed to be that way.
I think, and I'm gonna kind of go into what I was going to talk about the writing in both issues. I think they've been trying to do a shift in their style and how they lead the audience into certain things and how they recap certain things with different a whole type of different writing. They're going back into the 60s and 70s of writing,
Mhm.
and I'll probably say it again later. This is more geared to kids than it has been, right? It,
Maybe.
I think they're trying to at least lean that way. Now there is some overt sexual stuff going on, but they're not blatant about it, right? And some of the
Yeah.
writing seems it's way more simplistic than it has been. That's kind of guess what I'm trying to get at.
Hmm.
With this kind of writing, are you trying to anger that monster into killing us all? For us, it's hilarious and weird, right? I mean, I don't think you liked this writing at all, right?
I thought it was fun.
Yeah,
I thought it was fun. I mean, you do have to turn your brain off quite a bit, but
that's kind of what I'm getting at. And Phantom says it too. Yeah, like right. I'm gonna just say that's gonna go cure me, so all these girls know what a horn dog I am. And then
he wrote last, I think.
yeah, and then he's like, Apollo's like, shut up, old man. I'm trying to impress two girls and my sister for some odd reason. Right? So this is just a kind of a really weird sequence. And I'm glad you brought it up because I thought you would probably feel the same way.
Yeah, yeah.
um, so apparently Apollo is like Buck Rogers here, and he's
Hmm.
kicking the crap out of this Enoch, uh, which is, he's waylaid everybody, including Apollo, before he doesn't even get a shot in here.
Right.
It's a little odd. So he's got to call for backup. Actually, he's getting his ass kicked by Apollo, which is okay, cool, because we want Apollo's the good guy here, and we want
This
Apollo to
and
win.
and this is, well, go back up just a little bit. Last
Sure.
one on page 6. You may have discovered my secret that will do you little good. This is the form I have chosen. Um, strong, healthy, quick, not weak and old. And I have friends that can deal with you. So
Cheating.
in modern day, they would applaud him for being this way.
Oh yes, brave and stunning. And
Yes.
the problem with that is he didn't choose it, right? And
Not really. No.
and for me to go, I guess my theme for these two issues, I'm going real deep on some of this stuff, even though I like most of it, right?
Hmm.
Um, he didn't choose it. So the
Right.
implications of him saying just that I have chosen this means that to me, and I'm glad you brought this up because this is good in-depth stuff that I didn't really catch earlier. Well, I mean, the chosen part I did, but the
Mhm.
deeper part of this again would be that if he recognizes the fact that he chose it, does that mean he had the option before his mind got too messed up that he could have reverted back somehow?
And right now, the answer is no.
No. So he didn't choose it, right? Without
Right.
explaining, yeah, Apollo, I chose this because I found a cure. You know what I mean? They went this way,
Right.
I went this way, right? I mean, it's okay. It's all right. I just don't like that if you're going to say I chose this way to be, and because I could have fixed it and chose not to. So the answer is no. You're right. The answer is no.
And who are these friends? They are the
A
remainder
lot
of
of
that
them. So
expedition, 12. Yeah. Who are his 12 friends? They are the remainder of that Capricorn expedition from the previous issue on the first couple pages.
ooh, where have we seen that there's more people on a stranded planet than we initially knew about? I wonder where.
Well, you could clue me in because I'm
Uh,
not sure which one you're thinking of.
I'm thinking of Wrath of Khan. There's all these
Oh,
people
yeah.
there. You just kind of like all
Mutants.
these. Well, it's just a veiled reference to the fact that,
Well, but that came after this.
yeah, yeah, it came after this. I'm just saying it's
Yeah.
kind of like the themes
It's
that
a
I was talking
sci-fi trope.
about. It's a
It's a sci-fi
it's a
trope.
phi thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So that happens. Boomer comes in with his Viper, gets on a loudspeaker because apparently Vipers have those. Okay.
While he's
So then
flying
they
around.
start to flee. They want to flee. And the
Yeah.
doctor is, the evil genius here.
Uh, well, they get scared, right? They get scared because of the
Yeah.
Viper, and they run off. The whole lot of them.
Yeah. So they're torn and then they scamper and run away.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny because Apollo's like, so they left you, buddy.
Right.
You're like, okay.
So then he's like, he grabs this fruit and just squirts him in the face. I don't know.
What you
I don't
well,
know.
I was thinking of some videos that I've seen in the zoo of
Oh yeah.
what monkeys do.
Yeah.
So I thought this was so ridiculous. I'm like, oh my God, what are they doing? I was like, oh, okay, he's just squirting fruit. I was like, okay, all right, cool. I was like, surely they aren't going to go there because you can see
That's
he's holding
pretty
in his.
precise blast of fruit juice just right at
Yeah,
anyone.
yeah, because all those massive arms aren't doing him any good. And
Right.
350 pounds of ripped muscle and claws and teeth just aren't cutting it.
Mhm.
Pardon the pun.
Then
But they talk a lot of trash to each other, don't they, JT? I
they
mean,
do.
they just go back and forth, back and forth. Apollo's just really ripping into him. He left a
Who's
trail of
saying
clues,
arg in
Athena.
there? Who's
Uh,
saying arg? Who's saying arg?
Enoch is like, and he's squirting him in the eye. Gotcha. Ha, ha, ha.
Okay. I thought maybe Charlie Brown was hiding out of frame or something.
Yeah, I don't know about arg. I would have
It's
been like, ha, gotcha,
yeah,
or something.
yeah.
That's what he says in the bubble. So I'm like, okay.
So he says that and runs away, and he's like, "Yep, we're gonna play a
Yeah.
game of hide and go seek."
Yeah, Apollo calls him out by name now, right? So he's figured it out as well.
Yeah.
Did you say that, JT? I'm sorry if I missed that.
Oh no,
If you said that.
no, all you.
Uh, yeah. So I thought he was gonna fling some poo, but he shoots him in the eye with the fruit. Yeah, lemon juice to the eyes. It's got to sting. And then you're kind of like, well, I hope that's not ripe fruit because then won't Apollo change? But anyway,
Mm-hmm.
we'll skip all that. And he runs off and he says some. What did you say, JT? He runs off and says, "I'll be waiting for you in the jungle."
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's
Short
right.
game
He
of
does.
hide and seek. Mhm.
Yeah, he does actually explain the fact that the fruit isn't ripe yet. So okay, so then that's right. That's why. So they do explain it. I'll take it back. So he won't change. He won't change. I mean, I know what happens, but
Right.
and he calls him out by name. Boomer shows up, and guess what he brings him?
A sidearm.
He brings him, yeah, he brings the sidearm blaster for him. It's like, oh, really? Huh? That's cool. Thanks.
Yeah.
A little late, but yeah, because you should have been wearing it like you did when you were on the planet last time. All right.
So, who is the one in the purple hair again?
Sapphire has like the blue, dark blue hair.
So, who has the purple hair? Athena, right?
Which one here at 10? Right below 10?
Yeah.
So Athena's giving a hug to Apollo. That's Sapphire standing there.
That's
That's Boomer.
That's not a brother and sister hug.
No. She's got her leg up and everything, right?
Yeah, that's not a brother sister hug. Not well. If everything is right in the world, that's not. I won't even go there. I'll leave that one.
Yeah.
Leave that one.
And then Sapphire's complaining that she was happy to see Boomer and the weapons, but apparently Apollo running off the beast wasn't good enough for her. I was like, okay,
exactly.
A little ungrateful, but all right. Yeah, I'd be happy to see Boomer too, but be happy that Apollo just saved you. But anyway, Boomer's made a couple comments that he wants a rematch.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Boomer, you don't want any of that, dude. We all love you, but unless you have that weapon, you're gonna get your ass kicked. Sorry, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the whole thing with Apollo beating Enoch up without even taking a hit was a little bit. I mean, he could have took at least one hit, right? But anyway, that was just my take on the whole fight thing again. But Boomer's been itching for a rematch and calls him. He calls him Ape Man, and then he calls him Man Ape.
Exactly.
And now, I'm like, okay, guys, come on.
Here you can kind of look at the art, but Boomer just starts recapping the previous issue.
Yeah.
And he was the first one to run into him. They were discussing about moving in on the world. I ran into this freak creature. Then it jumped into a Viper. It disabled 2 ships on the training mission. We tried to get away.
What was the point of all this? Anyway, real quick though, I'm going to back up. Just look at the art here with Apollo and Boomer. Mm-hmm. So they messed up. He calls him Ape Man, then he calls him Man Ape. But what's up with Apollo's face? That looks like some Greek mythology superhero cut.
Yeah.
I was like, come on, man. We were giving you credit, and now they always tend to do at least one thing, right? That we said last week. They always do, without fail. Although that might be a minor thing right there. This whole thing that you're talking about is pointless, right?
Yep. So they're like, oh, so that's who shot at us. Oh yeah, no shit. The reader already knew that.
So
and then
is it for Boomer to tell Apollo what's been going on, even though we all know it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, but we didn't need that because we already knew everything. So this is a wasted page.
Yeah, and Boomer forgets to mention that he got his butt kicked. Right.
It
said, oh no, it did. I take it back. I got to read those yellow squares, right? I always say that. It would have killed me if our pal Jolly. So he did bring it up. Okay, so I take it back. Sorry.
So yeah, that we know all of this.
Yeah, and
All
then
of it.
again, um, at the top of page 11 here, JT, I wonder if you caught this. Just something we had brought up before about the landing on the loading dock, the landing bays, right?
Mhm.
And how they get in and out, and they're just walking around sometime. Remember how they were walking around that one time without any
Yeah.
gear,
Mhm.
and then it reminds you of the Death Star with having all sci-fi's have to have a landing bay shield,
Right.
right? So this guy goes, it nearly killed us both when it took off in the Viper without closing the airlocks. So they finally they maybe they have mentioned it in the past, but they bring it up here all the way in like the 18th issue that there's airlocks. We all would have known that anyway, being sci-fi
Yeah.
fans. But do you remember the one that we already brought up about how Starbuck flew off
Mhm.
when Apollo and I think probably Jolly or Boomer were standing right next to it? And I was like, there's no way that Starbuck would have ever done that. It would have killed him. So
Right.
they have a veiled mention here of that's exactly what would have happened if Starbuck had done that. And Boomer saying Jolly and I shut the emergency locks seconds before we were sucked out into space. So that meaning that Phantom is right when he said earlier that why didn't they just shut down the bay? I guess they didn't have time, or is there nobody on the bridge watching what's going on down there? They don't have CCTV cameras. They do. We know they do because we've seen it before, right?
Mhm.
So maybe I'm nitpicking here, but this just goes back to show that Starbuck would have never blasted his Viper off like that with people just standing there. You know what I mean? It just wouldn't
Right.
have happened.
Right.
And you and Fanti are right about how there would have been more safety protocols on the landing area. So their continuity and their sci-fi stuff, I think, is still lacking when they could have put it in here. They do finally mention that it's airlocks here, but it's a little late.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So they land. We know that. This next this next
can we just
illustration here,
I'll go down to this one.
um, it's depicting exactly what you think it's depicting, even though they insist that they didn't hurt them. Why'd you draw it like that?
Yeah, somebody's going to get hurt a little bit. They're going to get
Um,
bruised, an arm twist. She's got her pants ripped
uh,
open. You know, Cassiopeia's legs,
we
pants are
all
just
know
shredded.
we all know what the person drawing this was intending to
Yeah,
imply.
yeah, yeah. So I guess
Just
the
leaving it there
answer,
because we can't say that word on YouTube. So
yeah, you can't say that word on YouTube, right? So if I hadn't have caught on to the cover from before, to the answer on how did that one dude get this, and veiled reference that he called his friends to the fight of Apollo, well, this answers your question. It answers my question, right?
mhm.
Um, although some of the head art on a couple of these guys, but you know, it's fine. Just explaining what's going on.
Yep.
Uh, but
So he's
and they're
waiting
still,
for him.
yeah.
Go ahead.
No, sorry. I was
Just gonna say he was waiting for them to turn into apes themselves, and they wanted to eat the fruit. Oh my gosh, it's the fruit. Well, it's you know, that's how he transformed. So now we have to make sure nobody gets any fruit.
yeah,
Yay,
yeah,
yay!
yeah. And Phantom,
We knew this was the next step.
yeah, we already knew that because he jumped down from the tree, right? So he's again, they're recapping everything we just did, but they really overboard with this recap. It's really kind of bad. I don't,
Right.
but here's something you had talked about earlier too. Um, where we made fun of, we laughed when we first saw the ladies tied to the posts. We saw Athena was talking a bunch of trash, right?
Hmm.
Well, Apollo gives her crap about it. Did you catch on to that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I know Athena because I was watching the whole thing. But when you provoked him, I'm like, oh man. He's like, you know what I
Right.
mean? I was like, okay,
Right.
that was kind of funny. I mean, I think it's hilarious. You know, he's like, oh, he's giving her crap about it. You know, you
Yep.
don't have to keep your fracking mouth quiet. Sometimes.
Now, this next part is the worst part of the comic
All the way
for
down
me.
here to the Tarzan.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I wrote notes on that one, by the way.
But why you? I know
Yeah,
the terrain in this. You've been there 3 seconds, and
yeah,
this will be a
buddy.
great chance to use my gymnastic training.
What?
Now to get to the Galactica fast.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead. Go keep going.
I'm just shocked they didn't have him do a Tarzan screen at some
Yes,
point.
I wrote it down. I wrote it down. I showed you the Tarzan, but I wanted to show you. I wrote Tarzan yell.
Yeah.
All right, for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, once again, they got to do something just to have us 40 some years later rag on them about. They just have
Yeah.
to. They can't not do something silly or worse like in 14, right? This is just silly. It's just silly.
Mm-hmm.
We get it. Apollo, you're a badass. You already climbed up those trees. You kicked the heck out of that guy. He didn't even take a hit. You've got like Greek god neck in the art before, right? Your whole head.
Yeah.
And now you're flying around, like you said, Tarzan.
Yes.
And then I think it's like, oh, be careful. And he should have said, yeah, don't piss anybody off. You know?
Yeah.
He didn't say that. I said that. and they always try to go back. It's almost like they knew how silly this was because every now and then, or actually most of the time, they'll try to do one speech bubble to get themselves out of it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
You've heard me say that before, right?
Right.
And you've done it too, where you've caught on that. Oh well, they tried to put one speech bubble because then he says, "Oh well, this is also a great way I can rip my arms from their sockets." So okay, that's not gonna cover your whole Tarzan because look at this little pane here, this little sunset shot of him between trees. You want me to
Yeah.
read it, or you want to go?
No, I mean the pictures just kind of say it all. I mean, I don't know
Yeah.
how much time you really want to spend on this.
No, I'm going to move on, but just say that. Yeah, he just blatantly mentions that I'm going to be swinging from branch to branch.
Yeah.
He just blatantly says it. Now they bring up Starbuck, and so they can do a little rehash. Yellow Battlestar 13. Starbuck is still on Scavenger World. If you guys are like, where's Starbuck been?
Mm-hmm.
We all know that he's stuck there with Uralai.
He's the like the assistant to the queen. I don't think he's a full king.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they throw it in there so you can keep track. So you don't lose sight of what happened to him. It's kind of irrelevant because it has nothing to do with these two issues at all.
Right.
But they do it anyway. So yeah, Phantom.
They're gonna
he
fight
can't
some
abandon
more.
Enoch. So he goes after Enoch because he doesn't want to leave him. But he's out in the jungle now with all the other guys running around too, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
well, the
that's
others
irrelevant.
ran away. They don't want
Yeah.
anything to do with it. So he ends up shooting him.
Yeah, well, yeah, Enoch says he's slipping a little bit more here. He's reverting more animalistic and just says, I'm going to kill you.
Right.
But they said that they get a little foreshadowing, which I didn't like. Sometimes it's okay, but Apollo mentioned what's already going to happen. And I was like, foreshadowing is okay, but if it's going to be absolutely divisive to what's going to happen on the next page or two, don't say it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you what he said if you didn't see it before. I like the art here. This grrr.
Yeah.
This is pretty good depiction of Enoch attacking
It's
him, and
I think it's really so the people doing the visual aspects of the comic are more comfortable doing this because it's your typical superhero
yeah, this is
comic.
a good one. This is good depiction of the action and of how, and I like I always said, Starbuck is a good pilot, but Apollo is an excellent pilot. And you remember I always bring up the TV series episode with him fighting off with the Cylon Red Eye.
Yes.
Apollo's pretty quick with his weapon for the most part, right? I mean, unless he
Yes.
gets jumped or surprised. Which,
Yep.
So I like how they did the swish. Right? Oof, I like
Yes.
this. This is good.
The shine on the boots.
Yeah. The uniform's a little weird. Right? There's no
Kind of Han Solo looking a little bit.
Yeah. So he blasts them like you said. But guess what happens when he shoots him? It doesn't kill him. The blaster. It doesn't kill him. So apparently he's gotten so strong within what, an afternoon's time compared to the other one that got blasted and died immediately, right?
Yep.
Well,
and he Mr. Plinkets him. He shoots him right in the face. So then he's left saying, "What's wrong with your face?"
Yeah, I guess it's a stun. He's got it set to stun. Is that where I'm messing this up? He wouldn't have had it. Okay.
Blast him, try to stun him.
Okay.
So then he's all, "No, I'm still mad at you." Okay, and then I'm going to walk right off the edge of this conveniently located cliff.
Right, which Apollo had already mentioned. And I'm like, okay, dude, don't mention the cliff. Let it be a surprise.
I do like the art in the middle one where he falls through the branch.
Yeah.
I just like it. There's no real particular reason. I just found it to be a nice touch.
Yeah, it's a good touch. It's a good touch to him crashing through the trees and how, but the cliff, come on. And then he's like, "Help me, Apollo." A little late. But yeah, that's a good thing. And then I like the distance to show you how far that he fell.
Mm-hmm.
And they hint that he may be alive. We're not sure. Dare say that's a cliffhanger. Sorry, I couldn't resist, man. Yeah. I know it wasn't funny, but I laugh at it. Come on, it was all right.
It was good. It was all right. Yeah.
Timing is everything in comedy, by the way. So we get another little panel of the Battlestar Galactica. That's like the second time they do this little mini panel to the left. I guess that's what they like doing. This guy, whoever's doing the art here, that's their thing, right? At least this 2 issues. Adama looks like somebody burnt his toast. He's upset about something, right? He's just sitting there. I can't get over the smell. So I guess he's talking about something burnt toast. But
he's getting the sweats.
You're right. He's getting the sweats.
It's like, just a little bit of fruit, man. Just one bite. Just one bite.
Yeah.
Give me some.
Oh, me up, dude. No veiled references to anything I won't mention in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
But he's got, I like how you said that, he's got sweats. Well, it's so bad, JT. He's got to have Ty take over.
Yeah.
Right. And now we're getting a little drama where I'm like, no, don't eat the fruit. Right? Because you just got out of the damn memory machine.
Still garbled, even though, walkie-talkie communication is probably possible. So, Boomer's there just in the nick of time. Where's Commander Adama? He's out checking out that strange smell.
Nobody went with him.
Put on your gas mask. Yeah, nobody went with him. So we think it might be too late for Adama because he's jonesing for the fruit.
Yeah.
Okay.
But meanwhile, back in the jungle. Enoch's alive, but barely, right? And they do the foreshadowing thing again. This is a particular style. I don't know what the term would be of these setups. I guess you call them, right? The cliff. I call them foreshadowing. It's not foreshadowing here. I don't know what would you call this, everybody? This kind of style of like Apollo saying, "Oh, even Enoch's ape form couldn't survive a fall like that," and it's a setup, right?
Right.
Like it's just a comic style, right? It's just the way they write things. It's just the particular way they do things. So he gets a death scene. Moffat didn't get a death scene, but gets a death scene.
Yep. It's too late for me now, son.
That's the only cure. He calls him. I'll get you back up to the ship, man. Nah, screw it. I'm done for.
Permission to die, sir. Permission granted, son. Something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they reveal here to the reader how exactly this works, which we already knew.
I think this issue is chock full of this, and it's just the way they wanted to do it. I mean, that's all there is to it. It's
right.
How they wanted to do these recaps. The other one was ridiculous. I mean, not angry ridiculous, just kind of ridiculous. It was completely unneeded. Because now it's just way, way, way overboard. Because you get another one.
Mm-hmm.
They could have gotten rid of that other one completely, and then maybe had this one because he's dying. He's like, "Oh, Apollo, I ate the fruit." And a couple little pictures. I don't know. They've got this one fruit sitting on the grill like a barbecue, right?
Right.
But he's kind of.
If this ever makes it to a live action version, they need Bill Clinton to read Enoch's line. Wasn't it? I don't have a good Bill Clinton voice, but wasn't an accident.
I did not have sex relationship with that woman.
I ate that fruit, boy. Just him saying that. Anyway.
I guess they did this because they wanted to, and this is where and I'm glad you really brought this up about that guy who wrote the letter, because we always know that he's 3 issues behind, right? So he wanted character development. He wanted more involvement in the characters. Well, you got it here.
Yeah.
Because this little whole scene basically is whether we wanted it or not, I can kind of see that the people wanted Enoch to kind of get it off his chest what happened, even though we know it, right? To give it a good visual, and we really want to feel for this guy. So I give him credit, even though the backstory was overdone. I mean, the recap is overdone.
Right.
They are trying to show more characters, new characters. So give them credit for that. You know what I mean? They're just trying to develop these guys, even though he's this is the end for him. He's just kind of getting it all out of there while he can, right? He's just confessing to Apollo.
Right.
So,
okay.
So, I mean, that's just kind of my explanation of why they did it, although we don't really need it. But
it's totally unneeded. Yeah.
And I guess that guy who wrote that letter, if he does continue reading, is going to feel a little bit crappy about, man, I probably should have waited.
So meanwhile, back on the ship, Adama gets to the lab.
And look what we have.
Tells the guard, "You're dismissed, Corman."
We have a guard. Oh my gosh. Wow. I mean, I know maybe every now and then we've seen it, but it's rare.
They put a Marine on guard duty there.
Yeah, it's rare that we'll get it. And Adama dismisses him, and he's got no problem with that because that's Adama. Right. So he walks off. He's
And
still
so he
sweating.
opens it, and the stench is just wafting everywhere. I mean, you can think of like rotting fruit
Ugh.
smell. Just, oh.
It's got to be
Um,
bad.
He's like, must clear air, must have fruit.
Yeah. So Adama says something here that's kind of ridiculous. I must turn on the ventilation systems to clear this air. So he's obviously not thinking. I guess that's the justification. He's not thinking properly because he would have never turned on the freaking ventilation system to have it go through the whole ship, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Although maybe the
I,
lab has a separate,
I,
like they have a filtration system on the lab. Who knows?
yeah, I don't even know why they even brought up the air system at all because he's just going to go eat the fruit, right? So anyway, it's just another weird little quirky thing. I didn't get it, but he dives right on in, and he's getting ready to go to town.
Yeah.
But he hesitated in his madness because he's actually fighting it. He's fighting it off. So that little hesitation saved him, didn't it? Pew!
Yeah. Shenanigans, BS.
Shenanigans, bullshit. Let's hear it. Hey,
If you've ever used a firearm of any kind, laser or projectile, you are not taking a shot like that.
It's right between his fingers.
Yes.
And what did we call it last week, Phantom? Or
Near the
buddy?
head, too. Near the head.
Bubble gum.
He's about to take a bite.
Now, look at the position of his hand and the thumb and do it for yourself, right? Where would your face be? If you guys can see what I'm doing, because I've got the comic in the way.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And you might call it nitpicking, but I didn't draw this. If you do that, your thumb, if you look at the pictures, your thumb is facing outward from him, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's his left hand.
That's his left hand.
Okay. And it comes between his pinky. Yeah, it's going to hit him right in the face, or at least graze his whole side of his head.
Yeah.
Is it not?
Yeah. Yeah, it totally would.
Okay.
Unless he turns his head right at the last second and starts talking about immigration.
Yeah, he doesn't even know they're there. He's getting ready to. Yeah, he's drooling at this point, right? I mean, he's fighting it off, but he's getting ready to bite that damn thing.
Yeah.
So if anything, he's even closer to it. It's like this.
Yeah.
With the
no one's going to take that kind of a shot. No.
And yeah, considering it blew a hole in the hull of the ship from the last issues.
Yeah. Well, of course.
Yeah. And killed a 350-pound 8-man monster with one shot to the chest.
But I don't think we're supposed to apply ballistics to comic books, but
no, we're not. But I think even as a kid, I mean, I would have, damn, I don't know. Yeah, we're not. So we'll just do the old, we'll move on from that one, even though it makes no damn sense. And then, it's Athena, who not only is one of the best, a good Viper pilot now, and I'm saying that she isn't, she's an absolute crack shot better than Starbuck or anybody else.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently, all of a sudden.
Yeah. Something only an android could have any chance of making.
Yeah.
Without leading her commander. Yeah.
If anybody in this comic would have pulled that shot off, it's Starbuck or Apollo.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so Adama is still trying to eat the fruit. They blow up the rest of the fruit, and he passes out.
Okay, so now we know all we need to do is just not eat the fruit for a while, and you're good.
Yeah. So we've been doing a lot of Highlander stuff in this issue. So we're back to the planet again. And Enoch still is holding on, man. He's going for that Oscar. Right? He's getting in an extended death scene. It's been going on a couple pages. And so he's still talking about the fruit again. Yeah, I ate the fruit. And then he reverts back to his original form. We've seen that many. It's a sci-fi trope, right? It's a horror movie trope. It's a werewolf trope. We all know that. But it's a sci-fi trope. I've seen this a couple of times, many times.
Perhaps I think it's in an even older genre.
Doctor Who. It goes into
Doctor
Who,
Star Trek. Older than that, thousands of years older than that.
Mythical lore.
Well, this is like Book of Genesis type stuff. When I ate the fruit, I changed. I gained energy and size, but also pride, fear, and madness. I could do everything I wanted to. I felt like everything was owed to me. And I couldn't do anything but be an animal.
Yeah, veiled religious things, because we haven't seen any direct religious writing, only from Adama on one or two occasions since he was on Cobalt with Baltar. Remember? So we've only seen it blatantly written one or two times, and very little. Only when they were talking about, Adama was talking about trying to find Earth. But yeah, you're right. You're definitely right about this.
This is definitely the tale as old as time. You consume the fruit that you're not supposed to eat, and bad things happen in the Garden of Eden, right? So a little more on the nose than maybe. Well, I guess it could have been worse, but he to end this, Enoch succumbs to his injuries, and that's the end of the story. So thankfully all the fruit's destroyed. We never end up hearing anything about what happens to the rest of that 12-person crew. Why don't they take them all off the planet and just feed them like bread and water for a month, let them revert back?
They missed out on maybe trying to save those guys, and then the Cylons show up, right? Because it's been two issues, no Cylons. So that guy who wrote that letter, you're getting what you want, buddy. No Cylons at all.
Right.
Other than the art, that guy is really looking bad right now. That letter.
Right,
it's really rough letter, because wait till he gets to episode, issue 14. If he doesn't write back in about that, then he gave up reading the comics. And we get the big hint here, right?
They still settled this planet and just not eat the fruit. They could have still settled the planet and not eaten the fruit.
Yeah, I mean, they could have gone and saved the guys. They could have done like one more page of trying to help those people.
Yeah,
and they didn't do it.
The 3 pages of restatement was bullshit.
Yeah, so you had plenty of time. You've had such a lot of wasted space. I get why they did it with the Enoch. The other one, completely pointless. And then even the Boomer one, there was one before that, a smaller one too, right? If I got it right.
Yeah.
So yeah, fan, and buddy, straight up tell you, well, Starbucks coming back. And I think they did that to, even though I was complaining about foreshadowing, I didn't really initially like the fact that they were going to say it. We all know what's going to happen. He's got to come back sooner or later, right? But they do that to make sure you buy the next one. they're gonna. Yes. So it's a necessity. They have to. They have to put that on there because it's 2 issues, no Starbucks. We need to go back to that. But you're 100% about those guys on the planet. He wouldn't leave Enoch, but he'll leave the whole tribe or the whole rest of the people. Let them sit on there. Now that's a veiled rep. That goes to this Khan, right? And just leave them there. He's just going to leave them. We'll assume that they don't because they're good guys, right?
Yeah.
Adama wouldn't do that, right? Once he gets the report. Now, did you read this Battlestar Bulletins?
I skimmed over the first one because it was all just knob polishing.
Yeah.
The next one was about rank. I didn't care.
Well, they didn't. I didn't read that one. Did they talk about Athena?
When they talked about Athena, I didn't
They
see
didn't.
one.
They didn't. They talked about Starbuck being a Lieutenant Starbuck again.
Oh,
Lieutenant?
yeah, and versus a general.
Yeah, I don't know what their point is there about that.
Yeah, I didn't care. It was pretty
Yeah, that
obvious
was
to me he
pointless.
was the general only on a scavenge world, and who cares anyway?
Yeah, who cares?
But I did think it Jorge Cordova here was a little nasty writing in. One thing I
Yeah.
expected from BSG number 13 is bad art. Well, it wasn't all that bad. As a matter of fact, I'm getting used to it. Wait, your art is slowly improving, but you still have major problems in that area. And you have other readers like the art. The script was not very good. It was rushed. By the looks of this comic, BSG could come out every 20 days without a drop in quality. Ouch.
Yeah, ouch. Yeah.
Ouch.
Rough, but I guess some of that is kind of what we're saying. We're getting used to it, but he doesn't give any credit for any of the good art other than saying it's improving. And I'm like, well, again, if you're gonna bash, be specific. What's bad about it? You know what I mean? Are you trashing the whole comic, but then you say it's not all that bad? Well, what the heck are you talking about? Is that me? Is that how you felt about that? Because then they go back and Starbucks. The last issue was excellent, but now that Adama's back, you're going straight downhill. What? I don't get it.
I don't know. I don't
I
know.
don't get it. Yeah, the only thing downhill, well, it would have been 14, but only specifically because of the boxy scene, the radiation scene, right? I mean, it wasn't a great story anyway, but all of these aren't going to be great. We didn't particularly like that whole issue anyway, for the most part, right? Or I get the other one mixed up. We gave him C's and then the other one got an F, right?
I think so.
Yeah, if I remember. So they said
one,
that. Sorry, he answers. Well, he tells them Starbuck is still on Scavenger World, Jorge, but he won't be for long. Dude, if you're a fan of the comics and the show, you know damn well that Starbuck's coming back.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's no question about that.
Yeah. If you don't have the patience for it, I guess they don't. I can tell you, man, these people who write, either they're given really good credit, but when they're mad, they're worse than us. They don't.
No.
In whole generalizations, right? I mean, we specifically point out a lot of different things. And if the writing is bad in a whole issue, we'll save it and bring it up later. But we give credit when credit's due. Like you said, the knob running on the other one. So directly across from it, the third paragraph from that, it goes, as far as the art goes, I think there's no better artist in comics than Walt Simonson. So he really talks about Walt being...
that's a bit much.
That's a bit much. Because I think whether Jorge and the other guy were being really bad because they don't be specific, we call out the art when we see it, but then we say again, we call it out when they make good art, like Apollo and the Viper, the Jolly thing that I'll always talk about in the Imperial Leader back then, because we haven't seen him in a long time, not since Lucifer came around. And then was there one more?
The Rick Jones one. It's short.
There was one more I wanted to. Yeah, it was a short
I suppose you guys have seen the latest episode of BSG on ABC. I refer, of course, to Galactica 1980. You know, if Dr. Z is a mutant, why couldn't there be other mutants with physical prowess aboard the Galactica? I've got it. The gifted youngsters, these children of the atom, could be gathered under the tutelage of the aforementioned genius to form The Z-Men.
The Z-Man. No.
And then response, well,
Yeah, he just
anyway.
well. Yeah.
I thought that was a funny little letter to write in. They had a good sense of humor.
Yeah, a good sense of humor instead of just absolutely trash in 1980, right? Which
Mhm.
I would have to go back and watch. I don't, golly, man, that's been a long time since I've seen that.
Yeah.
Long time. Probably because I didn't care to rewatch it. But some people thought it was okay. Not a lot of people, but a few. And this guy
That was
loved
it for me in the comics, or not in the comics, in the letters anyway.
Yeah, I did want to mention the 15 because that one dude before, I'm going to harp on that guy's nasty letter from the other issue when he was talking about characters because he hadn't read the Boomer episode yet, Boomer issue, right? Or the Boxy issue, whether it was good or bad. And this person, Jeff, here says, you're doing a terrific job on Battlestar. Okay. I especially like 15. Well, he goes, in 15, you have Boomer finding Ilya. Remember that part where he lies about finding Ilya?
Yes.
And
Sorry,
what
I'm
did we
right.
say about that?
There we
Wasn't
go.
Ilya dead? And he calls him out. So he says, but in 6, Apollo says that Adama found Ilya dead. Get my drift? And we're like, yes, Jeff, we brought that up too. Sorry, Jeff. Adama was certain that his wife was killed in the bombardment, but he was wrong. But Apollo wouldn't have said they found her dead, JT.
It's still wrong.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Still wrong. Yeah.
You couldn't have found her if you just assumed that she died in the bombardment and then you found her dead.
Right. They're still wrong. We're right. They're wrong.
Okay. I'm trying to remember if you're going to say, I don't, because, I'll admit when I'm wrong. So
No,
help me out.
We're still right. They won't admit to it. But this is 40, 50 years ago.
That was
going to get them to admit to it. Yeah.
Yeah. And somebody else brought in 15. So a lot of people like the fact that Boomer got his own issue. I did too. How they handled it is one thing, but, the art was excellent and the story was the best. It was about time that Boomer starred in his own issue. So people love the characters,
Right. Right.
Yeah. Other than the blaster blowing a hole in the hull of that ship. It's just, they do it every issue, man. They can't have a good, solid B+, A- issue since, a few issues ago, right?
Right.
We gave an A somewhere along the line, but it's been a while. I liked 15, but some of those things I gave him, what did I give him? B++, because of
I can't recall.
Yeah, from last week. But Phantom, I highlighted this. I can't keep up with you guys because of the issues. You guys know that, and I appreciate all the comments. And I know Buddy's still around somewhere too. What did Buddy say? I lost it. The Return of Starbuck is the only good episode of Galactica 80. Wow, I couldn't even remember that. Phantom brings up the fact that Starbuck's going to have to catch up to them somehow or another. I can't remember exactly how he does it. I mean, we all know he does it. They're telling us he's coming back. I think he steals some kind of fast ship or something, right? I don't remember, but we'll get to it. And nobody had said something earlier as well. Anything that you wanted to pull from the chat, JT?
I think I'm good. Of course, I've been reading every single thing people have been writing too.
Yeah, so. I try to glance over like when you're talking, but I don't like doing that too much because I'm trying to pay attention to what you're saying. You know what I mean? I hate it when you say something and I kind of miss it. So I apologize when I do stuff like that.
Now, next week's cover, just as a teaser, is trippy and it's cool. It's just cool.
I'm trying to remember. I can't remember. That's a good thing because I will be rereading it.
It is just
obviously.
Cool. That's all I got to say. And then we are running back into our favorite redhead with the mind control.
Yeah.
So don't forget about that.
Yeah,
Just
you're
for
a lie.
folks. Yes. And we also run into some Orion women next week. I mean, not Orion women, but we all know that's exactly what they are. So, hey, if that doesn't get you excited for next week's episode or next
Me
week's issue, I don't know
excited.
what will.
So
Yes,
Cassiopeia is going to have some girls to hang out with.
I guess so.
Well, they probably won't get along though, right?
You know,
You never know.
yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, Apollo is always funny. Yeah, Apollo. I mean, the show really tends to give you more of an atmosphere of how bad things are with them.
Mhm.
Um, because even if the Cylons aren't chasing them, they've got to deal with all kinds of crazy shit that goes on.
Right.
Like their doctors turning into 400-pound, 350-pound 8 men with claws and teeth and, that kind of thing. And I mean, you got to give them credit for something. They're coming up with something, that's keeping you going. And if you didn't like these two issues, you're going to come back for the next one. All right.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
mean, the hook with Starbuck being on that planet, but you can't drag it out too long. Is why one of the letters I forgot to talk about, I think it might have been in the first issue, was they were talking about the mind control bubble machine. And
Yes.
I always liked it because it put pressure on everybody else to perform, which goes against that guy's letter, the character developments. And Ty didn't bring anything up about Ty and them taking control and running everything without Adama, right? He didn't give them any
Right.
credit for that. Whether they did a good job at it is irrelevant. They at least tried. And they didn't drag it out another issue, which is probably a good thing. They ended it when it should have, maybe one issue before, but I liked, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
They're trying. I would give them credit for trying on a lot of different things. And just because I want a story to go one way, you want a story to go another way, doesn't mean we can go back in time 45 years and tell them to do it our way.
Right.
Right. They wrote it the way they wanted. And that was the way we always do give them a hard time about the really, really silly things that they do.
Yeah.
And they constantly do it. I mean, just really silly thing like the shooting of
And
the fruit
and
out.
look,
For a kid, it's fine.
the book is kind of campy, so you
Mhm.
have to realize that's just what it's going to be.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
It wasn't written for us to do this 45 years later.
Mhm.
You said it perfectly right. 90% of the stuff, or probably less, is just move on because it's a comic book. But for at least number 17, I liked that they toned down some of the writing for kids. To me, that's what I saw, a little bit of a shift in how they were writing things. Did you catch on? What do you think about that?
Um, I'm not sure. You put me on the spot
Well,
inadvertently. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so reviewing it's one thing, and then getting really into deep on their style, on how they're
Yeah.
writing things. I just saw a shift of the rhetoric change from being blatantly sexual, blatantly, we're gonna fry him. Remember that
Mhm.
guy? And they said it numerous times. We're gonna fry that guy. And I was like, I mean, I'm a grown man. I'm cool with it. It's Battlestar Galactica. If you want to make a rated R Battlestar Galactica, go for it. But we all agree that's not what you made these comics for. But then we
Right.
agreed it's not coming out like it's for the kids, though.
Right.
I think the writer, and they did change the writer, not the co-plotter, whatever the heck that is. I just saw a little bit of a shift into being more simplistic, not being overly verbose. Although there were a lot of speech bubbles, the actual writing wasn't trying to be over people's heads. Like the couple times you read the speech bubbles where I was like, can you just read that, man? Because I gotta get a drink of water. I can't get it out.
Mhm.
Not
Mhm.
because I'm a dumbass, but I was like, I'm not even gonna read that.
Right.
There's not a lot of that going on now. And the one yellow thing about going out into space, it was really cool how they said that. And it wasn't overly verbose as far as trying to be highfalutin. Let me put in all these words to make me look like I'm such a good writer or type of thing. Not to say that that's what they were doing, but I just noticed that kind of shift to an older, classical, simplistic style of getting it done.
Yep.
It hit me about halfway through 17. I was like, oh, okay, this is a little bit different. But it's just me.
If you increase the accessibility of the comic, you might sell more. Maybe. That's probably their thought, to try to get a wider audience. I don't know if that really worked. I mean, they only made 23. So
yeah, and they only made 23 of them, and we're at 18 already. So we've only got a few more.
Yeah, we have 5 left.
Yeah, 5 left, and time-wise, we're probably going to have to save the last issue for a different night, right? I don't know if we want to do 3, planning ahead in one night. That's going to be.
Oh, you don't want to do 3, but even if you did do
3,
3, that's going to be the day before American Thanksgiving anyway. So
yeah, so we might have to skip a week, right?
We could.
And try not to do that. 2 next week, 2 on the 20th. The 27th. We're going to do 1 issue on the 27th. What do you
Well, that's the day before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
We'll sort it out, folks. We'll let you know.
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll change the day. I don't know. A lot of people are going to be traveling that week.
Yeah.
Before Wednesday.
Right.
And I know you aren't going to be wanting to come on the 27th, right? So
probably not. We'll
probably
see.
Not.
I don't even know if I can. It's not a want. It's always an inability more than a want. So
yeah, well, I mean, it's a holiday. It's a very big holiday. If we have to save the last issue for an extra week, then we just save the last issue for an extra week. Maybe we'll tie in some of the shows and do a recap. We'll do a recap type of thing.
Yeah. Sounds good. Did we want to give our scores? And
yeah, go for it always, and then plug your weekend.
Right. Sure. So let's see. This is a 2-parter, but I am going to give 2 separate grades. The first issue, I would give it a B+. I was pretty entertained. It's pretty entertained. There was enough action there that if I turned my brain off, hey, it worked. The second issue, I give it a C+, because I thought they wasted way too much time on a recap and left the ending just, I don't even know if we got a real ending. It just kind of was unfortunate that they ended it the way that they did. So from that knocks off a full letter grade. The art was passable, neutral. There was way too much text dump overall. I thought that they should have just let the artwork tell more of the story, because a lot of this we were like, duh, you're filling in things we already knew. But overall, a C+ and a B+. It was a fun adventure. I think it averages out to a low-ish B, and it was fun. There was a lot that I could nitpick and criticize, but hey, you got to decide, am I going to have fun and like this or not at the end of the day? So.
Yeah. I mean, we can't be trashing these every week unless you do something as bad as 14 or the other one with the Dama, right? I mean, hey, it's never going to go away.
Yeah, and the characters all acted like
horrendous.
Themselves.
It was horrendous.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. And if I could tell them it was horrendous, I would tell them.
Yeah.
I mean, ridiculous is beyond. But anything else on these? Or?
The characters acted like themselves. There wasn't any weird, out of motivation acting there, which was good. You brought up that they brought in a new character with the biologist Enoch, which was cool to get something new in there, and then Sapphire as well. So that is kind of nice to have that. One of the things that I did say I wanted to talk about, and we said let's hold it off to the end. I just realized I forgot I wanted to talk about that. Um, the man ape man way that they talked about this, I felt like they didn't use that as a chance to grow, which was a missed opportunity, and also very kind of as a result, kind of a closed-minded way of thinking about this type of stuff. They had these creatures that came to their rescue, what Apollo and Enoch at the beginning, and they just kidnapped one of them
Mhm.
and brought him back. Just assumed there was zero intelligence whatsoever, did very little investigative work,
Yeah.
and just was calling him an unthinking ape man.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought, if this were Star Trek, they would have not said that. They would have been very intrigued and interested, and they would have had more than just one biologist digging into what this creature is. It was like a part-time afterthought, even though it's the most pressing thing that the Galactica is doing is trying to settle a planet for food so they can survive. No, we're going to have like one guy dig into multiple things that we found on this planet. And just the way it was written, I thought it was callous and closed-minded, and I don't know if the crew would have been acting that way. It
Yeah.
is a life form with two arms, two legs, and did show a sense of coming to another's help that they didn't know, which would imply thought and morality, right? Which would make one think, oh, there's someone behind those eyes. And so me coming from like a Star Trek or, a more hard science fiction view on it was kind of taken aback by just how they treated those that weren't exactly like them with an inferiority that was off-putting to me in a missed
Yeah.
opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's very spot on. And then, did you notice, if I can find it, I'll just read it. When Apollo gets attacked by them, I think there was a veiled, yeah, there's a veiled reference that they were going to eat him.
Mhm.
I'd say they just wanted to save the meal for themselves. But then I'm assuming, uh, we don't know if he's talking about that creature, that the lizard creature, or about themselves. There's no, I
Right.
guess he's assuming about the lizard creature, and I just read into it, but that's what it said. I'd say they wanted to save the meal for themselves. Since that creature attacked him, then I'm assuming he's talking about him. So he's actually making a reference that they're going to eat him.
Mhm.
And then the
Uh,
man ape man switcheroo in 18. It's like, okay, it's one or the other. But yeah, that's a very good synopsis of that, man, and the whole thing. And definitely they're not going to get an A because of it.
mhm.
I guess for the cover they get props for having my monitor
Oh
there,
yeah.
right?
Oh yeah.
But
Nice cover.
I give I gave 17 a B plus. I mean, it's just little things here and there that's
Mhm.
add up. They, like, even in the Buck Rogers episode with the guy and the girl who they start as the monsters and then they peel off and they turn into this hot young couple. Remember that one?
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, and she's like hitting on Buck, and he turns her down. He should, right? Uh,
Mhm.
but they didn't take them onto the ship, right? Right? They didn't, but or did they? They put them on the shuttle, right? So there's security issues and stuff that just constantly don't make any sense, even though you can say it's nitpicking, but they don't have very much continuity when it comes to the safety issues at all.
Right.
Let's just bring in this whole bucket of fruit and this guy. We'll just strap him on a table and don't explain anything about it. We're going to investigate the guy, but nobody says, let's not bring that stuff up here. Let's just do it down there. Set up a
Yeah.
thing, or it's just, I don't know. I guess it's kind of weird because they keep doing those things, keep doing them over and over and over. But I guess it's to move the story along. But still, a lot of I like the art on the face of the monster when he gets into the Viper. That was funny.
Yeah, I did like that moment with the
Yeah.
laugh that you could just
He's
hear in
like,
your head.
yeah. And there's a lot of trash talking between people when they're fighting and stuff like that. That's funny. He even makes a joke. The monster guy, makes a joke in there. So they almost get an A minus, but they leave 17 might get an A. I don't know. I'm just trying to be really nice, trying to get a good one out of all the other ones that we've had lately, except for 15 with Boomer and stuff, right?
Mhm.
But 18, I'm with you. It's all right. There's a lot of continuity errors that they keep doing. It's their fault, a lot of things. They leave those guys on the planet without telling us if they're going to go rescue them. You're just going to walk off. What happened to those people, right? I mean, that was an excellent point you brought up, that they're just going to leave. They're humans. So are you going to try to help them or not? Don't know. Have no clue. Right. I didn't like that at all. I'm glad you brought that up. Other than that, just some of the normal things that I always get at, like the sidearm thing irritated me. There's no way that he's going to be down there without a sidearm. It's just not going to happen. But they did it so they could get into a fight. But then they get into a fight and Apollo doesn't even get hit. And it's like, that was kind of Apollo's a badass, but come on, man. He's making a good fight, right? The guy just wussed out, call his friends, hey, buddy, come help jump this guy for me. You know what I mean? And then they all run away because of Viper. And then they're like, depicts them as all just really like animals. They just got scared because of that flying thing, which probably would have happened.
Noise,
to be honest,
yeah.
It probably would have happened. There's nothing wrong with it at all. But yeah, it was okay. I liked them. I liked 17, 18. They were okay. Just the little things here and there. Like I said, 17 might even get an A out of me if I think about it. But I can't think of anything too blatant that would really accept those recaps. 18's not going to get a B because the continuity and the so I don't know why they did 3 times. They had flashbacks that took a lot of the comic, right? Took a lot of space. The only thing I liked was they showed the airlocks when they were leaving, right? They finally kind of explained that people had airlocks and Boomer and Jolly shut the doors so they didn't get sucked out, whatever. They kind of finally explained that. But yeah, C for me. I'm not much on the grades. I say that every week, but I just try. It's either I like it or I don't. Point out the good stuff, point out the bad stuff, right?
Right.
But for grades, it's good. If you're doing reviews, that's what people expect. That's what people normally would do. And I like them as a combo. It's a B, good B plus for me. I like the humor. The humor really helped out. That's something I've been wanting a lot of times and never get it. The humor and the distinct change for me in the style of writing. So
cool.
That's about it, really. Sorry, dragging it out a little bit.
Well, our ending score wasn't that far away. We were still in B territory.
Yeah.
Yours
If you
was
put
a
them
high, mine was a low, but
yeah, if I put them together, it's a good B. See, it was good for 30 cents, right, Phantom? You're right. They're comic books after all, like you said. The shot of the fruit with the laser thing. For me, I didn't like that at all. It just didn't make any sense because of their depictions of how strong that damn blaster is. It's not going to happen. But you reeled me in a little bit. It's like, this is just a comic type of thing. It's like, yeah, you're right. But still. Other than that, yeah, these were good. I can't wait for next week, really, to be honest with you.
Yep.
I'm a little bit excited to get back into the Starbuck.
Starbuck.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And Buddy said the Mummy one. Yeah. So 2 issues next.
Phantom Outsider gave it a C. It was good for 30 cents.
Yep. And Buddy's still hanging out with us. So on that, I guess I'll say the thank yous for Buddy. Thank you so much, Phantom. Thank you so much. And I think even Putin's cat popped in early. Don't know if you're still around. Thank you. Appreciate it. And as always, if I missed anybody that came in and out very in the chat, thank you for stopping by. And JT, plug what you got. Did you already plug this weekend?
I have not. So let's see. I believe this Friday I will be on Mark D with the C's channel doing some late night Fortnite. I believe you'll be there too. Maybe, possibly, hopefully. And then Saturday I'll be on 9:30 Eastern on Admiral Teague's channel talking Star Trek Enterprise. We're nearing the end of season 1. Oh, some pretty good stuff. This one is the one with Ferengi coming up in it. So kind of a fun, lighthearted one. Not without its issues, though. Then
they're always fun to deal with.
Yeah. Sunday I'll be maybe hanging out with Mark D with the C. We'll see. I know you were there this past weekend, weren't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. For Sunday Night Geekery.
Yeah.
I bailed out a little bit early. I got tired all of a sudden. I was like, right before he did Godzilla stuff, because I had walked off and I was like, I sat on the couch. I look over and he's got all this Godzilla stuff, and he's like, Dave. I was like, oh man.
So, yeah.
So I'm watching. It's all good.
It's always a last minute thing if I'll be on there or just hanging out and chat. But either way, I'll be going over there. So then after that, coming up on Monday next week, hopefully, well, I shouldn't announce it yet because I don't know if that person has made the announcement yet on their channel. So mystery coming for Monday. Anyway, that'll be it.
For you're going to do a channel, or did you say on their channel?
I'll be a guest on somebody's channel, most likely, but I don't want to spill the beans yet. I don't know if I'm allowed. So,
oh well, Twitter me up, dude.
Sure.
Whenever it is, so then we can post it on the X side.
Yeah.
A few people here follow me over there.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they do.
Yeah. So. On that note, Phantom. Yeah, so we're talking about Cassiopeia, and I said that she might have some friends, but he touched on something that was in the discrimination between the tribes on the ship, and that they were from Capricorn, and weren't they mean to Cassie? Some people were mean down when they first met her on the show. They were very mean, nasty. They wanted to throw her out. I think they wanted to throw her out the airlock, if I remember correctly.
They were mean. They were very nasty people.
Yeah, nasty. Just nasty people. Very mean. Oh, Dan. All right, everybody. So let's get out of here. We're at 2:45, 48 already. So, JT, thank you so much. And everybody, thank you so much as always. And we will see you next week for Starbucks. So, dun, dun, dun. All right. Good night.